Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Welcome one and all to John and Mike's MMA Corner.
MMA from a different angle.
And before we kick off with obviously our usual saga of laughter and seriousness, professionalism, we're going to start by asking you all to jump onto Facebook, Twitter, the lot really, the social networking sites, and give some of our esteemed colleagues a follow, because their hard work really helps not only us and yourselves but just MMA grow. So first up we have MMA Scotland. We'd like you to also jump onto UFC Wreckage on Facebook. Their Twitter handle and their website is MMA Wreckage.
We also have MMA UK, and their Twitter handle is We Are MMA UK.
Jump on to Facebook to Fighting and MMA.
We also have on Facebook and Twitter The Real MMA Talk.
And last but not least, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter. Can't miss them. If you like a giggle, you like a laugh, jump onto Funny MMA, kind of putting a light-hearted view on the aspects of MMA and the goings-ons.
I thought it was serious.
Exactly. So that's what you want to jump onto. Now what we're going to do is jump straight in to this week's edition. Right, let's get things going by starting off to say that we have got a hell of a load of guests.
Pretty packed.
It is pretty packed. And do you know what? I'm really excited about talking about the guests that we have on and also what we're going to talk about this week, because there's been quite a lot going on. Later on, we're going to talk about a couple of retirements. Alan Belcher stepped away officially. You've also got the Crow Cop incident,
which we'll elaborate on more.
Yeah,
so.
It originally was a retirement out of one thing, but
now it's got a little bit thicker.
It's got a bit different. Obviously, we'll talk about the Cerrone incident with his tests. We've got the.
Don't worry too much, folks.
The Bellator card announcement. You know, Ramsey Nijem, what happened with him when he left the UFC, and also a recent cut in the UFC. There's a load of bits there to talk about the roundup, but also now what I want to kind of touch on is the guests that we've got on this week. We've got, you know, we're going to start with, in a short time, we're going to start with William Joplin and Horacio Escobar. They're the main event for the Shamrock FC card.
Yeah, it looks exciting, that one.
We're also going to have Marques Jackson. He's going to come on and talk about his bout coming up on the Shamrock card. But then we've also got an agent coming on in Ace Anderson, who is talking about the external reasons as to why a matchup between Matt Ray and Wes Powers,
he reached out to us, didn't he, and felt he had to say something because he felt he felt something had to be said, and
about why this matchup is taking place. The real reason, you know, Matt Ray didn't talk about when we had him on, which we were not to know about. But then, like you say, Ace Anderson contacted us directly, asked, you know, if we wanted to come on.
Do you know what we always say to people that come onto our podcast is, you can say anything you like.
Yeah, and he did.
We won't edit anything out what people like. So what people say, unless they ask us to.
Unless they ask us to. Yeah.
They say it goes out there.
It goes out, and
if we don't like it. We don't like it. You know. So it goes out.
It's going to be interesting when you get to hear what he has to say.
Very interesting though. Yeah.
We talk. We're going to have Aljamain Sterling, one of the UFC's top bantamweights. He's one of the guys who's on a tear, who people don't really want to fight. People are dodging, and you know.
Do you know what they should have on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And the final question should be, why is he so early on that card? I do not understand it.
And then we've got another gentleman on who's really taken. He's not a nutritionist, he calls himself. He's a weight management, basically. He's a gentleman who's taken on Aljamain Sterling anyway, so it's.
Not literally.
No, he's helping Aljamain with his nutrition. He's actually taken on Eddie Jordan. He's taken on a lot of guys. Now, we didn't have this booked till last minute as well, which is quite exciting, because we actually spoke to Aljamain a couple of days beforehand, and then we got this last minute kind of guest, which turned out to be an education as well for us.
Very, very educational, and I really like his approach to it. You know, how he's obviously he has a business, etc. But he's like, he wants to educate
everyone.
He would love to educate the world. I mean, let's put fighting aside. You know, the world is kind of messed up. Like, you know, there's a lot of people that are like committing suicide without even realizing through how they eat and their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And okay, don't get me wrong, he's not all philosophical and all that, and he's not all religious and all this. He goes on to it and just try to sort of break it down and say, look, this is where you're going wrong, but life doesn't have to be all hard, you know.
He talks about the nutritional side of it and how to look after your bodies a bit more. It's what Mike's trying to get through here. Bloody hell, Mike, you were really pulling teeth out with that bit there.
Yeah,
but,
we
get
want to
Louis...
make it clear that, you know, like, some people come in and go all spiritual and all that. And,
no, we don't have any of that stuff on. No, we get Louis Giordano on.
Does my head in.
No, we get Louis Giordano on. He's here to talk about... Giordano, sorry. He's here to talk about the kind of aspects of weight management, what people have been doing wrong as well in the sport, and where they've maybe gone and took the wrong direction and wrong lessons, and that's pretty much what he's on here.
And the way sometimes, you know, people give guidance in the wrong sort of way, like, you know.
Yeah, there is all that on, and we'll stop now.
Yes.
We're going to yes, please.
He's basically going to explain it later on, and a lot better than we can. So
yeah, we're going to get our first couple of guests on before we start talking about what we are going to actually tell a lie. We're going to talk about Bellator that just happened, the UFC card last weekend. Obviously, we're going to talk about BAMMA on this weekend and the UFC card that's going down in Melbourne. We'll also touch those bits as well. I thought I'd mention that as well. We're going to have Will Joplin and Horacio Escobar on first. Like I said before, main event for the Shamrock FC card happening on the 21st November. It's Shamrock FC Ambush, they've named it. So here is the pair of them now. Here's Will and Horacio. Okay, we are joined by the main event, Shamrock FC, coming up on the 21st November. Thank you for joining us, Mr. William Joplin. You are, like I say, headlining Shamrock FC against Horacio Escobar, which is a hell of a name. I think it's like a cartoon character name, but you've got an opponent now who really is going to look forward to taking you on, because you will be, to him, like his biggest, toughest test. Do you feel that kind of way about it? Do you feel like for him, you're like his he's going to be looking at you like the platform to move on, and you're really just going to have to focus on getting that W and just taking him out?
Yeah, I would definitely say that he's looking at me as, you know, his step up, you know, to get a possible, you know, bigger movement up, just for the simple fact that I'm definitely the toughest opponent he's ever had, and skill-wise and record-wise and, you know, experience-wise, I'm the biggest he's ever fought. So, yeah, I'm definitely he's looking at me like that. So, you know, he's got his hands full, I can guarantee that.
Well, I was going to say he definitely has got his hands full. If he's watched that Andrew Whitney fight, which I watched live, and then I've watched back again, that was one hell of a fight, I have to say. So that was just non-stop. I loved it. Absolutely great battle. And you bounced back from it as well. You came back and got yourself a win, Colin. You know, it was a great fight. How do you feel, obviously, with the Andrew Whitney fight, how do you feel in yourself after that bout?
Man, you know, I felt good. I felt good after that. I wasn't extremely happy with my performance. You know, I went in there, you know, a little sick. I just got over a really big flu prior to the fight. So, you know, halfway through the fight, I just, you know, I started getting sluggish. But I was okay with my performance. I mean, I know that I should have done way better, and I really honestly believe that I could have won that fight, and I should have won that fight. But you know, it was his night, and it wasn't mine, and that's just the way it goes. That's the name of the game. But you know, the next fight I bounced back, got me back on the winning column, like you said. Just moving forward, man. You know, it doesn't do me any good to drown back in those days like that.
No, absolutely not. And like you say, you bounce back. You know, Jesse over at Shamrock FC, he's taking you on to main event his card. Are you enjoying it? We know Jesse's a really experienced guy in the promotion game, but obviously he's fought as well. You must have. Are you having a good time with Jesse as well, I assume?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. He takes real good care of us, man.
Yeah, we've actually had Jesse on the podcast before, so I have to vouch he is a really nice guy to talk to, and you know, we've had other fighters on from Shamrock that kind of echo what you said there. He does look after the fighters. With Shamrock FC, he started to... Well, I've noticed that there's that kind of relationship with Scott Coker, obviously at Bellator. And they recently did that. They did a couple of bouts where guys could win a contract and it could transfer over to Bellator with winning that fight and stuff like that. So does any of that kind of start to come to yourself where you think, you know, if I put a good performance on it, there's a, you know, in a couple of fights, get a couple of good wins. Do you feel like there's a potential for anything like that happening? Does that play on your mind at all when you're signed to a promotion like Shamrock?
I mean, yeah, sure. I've always thought about that. I've seen it happen to, a couple of guys get the offer, and, and I was really surprised for a while that I hadn't got one, but I actually, a few fights back, I was offered a fight, to fight for the belt and the Bellator contract, but it was before the Whitney fight, and because of my cut from the eye from Whitney's fight, I wasn't able to compete, and somebody else got the fight, and that guy won the contract, and so that kind of messed that deal up for me. So yeah, I've been kind of thinking he might throw it in there somewhere. I was hoping maybe with this fight, but who knows?
Well, that's the thing. It might.
No luck, like bad luck, is there?
Well, do you know what? Just because it's not been put publicly about the contracts, it might happen outside of things. You might get a call up after the fight. You know, who knows? It's one of them things. But I was just thought I'd ask because it's something I noticed that's going on with Shamrock, and I quite like that there's things like that happen where it's
extra goals, isn't it?
It's the promotions as well. The two promoters that they're working and getting on together. They're not, you don't get this silly kind of bitchiness and slagging off, and I think which is detrimental to the sport. I don't think you need that. I think you do need a lot of promotions to maybe help each other, because Shamrock FC know where they are, but Bellator know where they are, and the thing is that mutual kind of understanding. I think that's key to help development.
They need to be fed, and
and I think it's good development for fighters as well to know that there's a platform after.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man. And it's nice, kind of like being a free agent, I got my options open. If anybody calls, I can go anywhere, so...
Yeah, I totally agree.
Complete downfall.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, there's always seems to be a lot of movement going on, and, I think everyone's just, like, really, like, one good performance away from ending up anywhere.
I think we're going to see you in Japan, are we, at the New Year?
What was that?
Are we going to see you on the Japan card at the New Year? You're going to take on Fedor.
Man, that would be awesome. I think that would be an awesome experience. Just meeting the people that's going to be there alone. But having the privilege and honor to fight on the same card as Fedor, that would be sick. I would much enjoy that one.
Not if you have to fight Gabby Garcia for it, though.
Yeah.
that dude's big.
Yeah. 6'4".
Although, having said that, she looks less like a dude now.
She does, yeah.
I don't know what's going on there.
Dude looks like a lady.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that should be a walkout music.
Yeah, it should.
Oh, dear. Have you seen the latest pictures?
Yeah. I follow her on Instagram.
I've heard she's even thinking of getting a dress.
Oh, that'll be a good thing. No, the Japan card itself, it's interesting, and the only reason I bring that up is because who knows what's going to happen. There's so many different fighters that are getting pinged to that. Sean Jordan, his contract ran out in the UFC, and he basically said, I don't want to sign it, I want to fight Fedor. It's awesome to see stuff like that happening. I think a lot of guys, there is a lot more movement happening, especially when you get promotions like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, with the Fedor thing, they did actually pull him, didn't they, the opponent?
Yeah, the original. Well, they never confirmed it was him. That's why. But did
everything but confirm it?
I know. But for yourself, William, it's when you see the kind of opportunities that are out there. Not necessarily. It's not just UFC now. That's the thing. Bellator with the sponsorships that people can bring in. It's a nice boost for fighters, and obviously Japan. Does it as a fighter help you relax a bit more when you know that there's other ventures out there?
Yeah, man. I stress a lot about wanting to get on stuff like that so much, you know, and I just want to experience, you know, you only live once, so, you know, it's a dream, man, to fight for the UFC, you know, one time at least, just to feel like I completed my life dream, you know, but, man, I got to fight on RFA, Titan, you know, a couple of the big shows, so, but, you know, it's just, UFC is UFC, so, I mean, I'd love to be able to experience that one time, so, I mean, I can't see myself stopping until I get that chance, you know?
Yeah, the UFC is always going to have that name, isn't it?
It's going to have that kind
no
of...
matter how shitty the deal becomes, like, you know, with like Reebok and all the rest of it. It's still got that prestige name to it that you just love to have it on your resume at least once, you know. So, yeah, I hear you on that one.
I stay ready every day. You know, train every day whether I got to fight or not, you know, just for that chance, there's that last minute call, you know, I don't care who it is, you know, I don't care what weight, you know, if the UFC wants to fill in and they need somebody to back somebody up, I mean, I'm the man, you know, I'll do it. I don't care who it is. That'll be the number one rated guy. I don't care what, but just give it to me.
Well, Crow Cop's, you know, out, and so Anthony Hamilton needs a heavyweight opponent,
and John Jones needs an opponent. yeah.
Just spitting ideas. Spitting ideas.
I might just say no to one or two things like that. Yeah.
No, it is one of the things where you do have to stay ready due to the fact that the UFC have so many cards on.
The opportunity does often.
Yeah.
It's a lot more often now.
A lot of guys get injured, and girls for that. You know, we're not going to put the girls out, but more so.
Don't think you'll be able to squeeze in on the girls one.
Well, you know, I would wear a wig and lipstick and a bra, and I would to get on the UFC. I'd do it. On the medicals, I might have an issue when they go, "Can you cough?" But
no more than some of them have already.
But I'd get, you know, it's one of the things where there is an opportunity always, because there's always someone getting injured. There's always someone twisting an ankle or doing something daft at training.
Like I said, if Gabby Garcia can pass a medical, you can.
Yeah, exactly. We could all make it. So, look, we're sure that there's an opportunity going to come knocking at some point. But, well, the thing is, you're doing the right things. You're going out there and you're fighting off regular. You know, you're getting the W's in, and that's all that matters. That's all you can do. You know, you got this fight now on the main event with Escobar. You go out there, put another performance. Again, the good thing about Shamrock FC is that people can watch it anywhere in the world. So, you know, people can go onto the website and tune in, and they can pay to watch the card.
Good production as well.
Beautiful production they have on there. So it's good for you because you're doing the right things. You're not, you know, you do, like you say, you train all the time. But the thing is, you got the regular fights, and you're going to get the, you know, get those W's up. You're not doing anything wrong, are you?
I feel like, I don't know, whether I have a fight or not, I just can't stay out of the gym, so, you know, I don't want to be that time where I'm not training and then I get that call to be on a really big fight card and I'm not ready because I haven't been in the gym, you know, I don't want to be that guy, you know.
Yeah. You don't want to be sitting there just on a sofa going, "Yep, I'm fight ready." Lying with
Chad Mendes.
Yeah, with a bunch of donuts on you, going, "Yeah, I can make the weight."
I mean, exactly that. Chad Mendes. He said, like, I was out fishing 2 weeks ago. Well, that's your choice.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, knowing that those.
I think if I was in this, like, within a bracket, you know what I mean.
If you're in the top 5 of that weight division and you know the title fight's coming up, you want to maybe have a small mini camp, unless you've got a fight coming up anyway. You want to maybe have a small mini camp just to be semi-ready, so to speak. You know?
Exactly. So you can be more ready when the day comes.
Yeah, exactly. And look, we know the killers that you train with, man. You know, we know the guys that you train with, and we know the effort you put in, Joplin, to come and bring it. We've seen your performances, so we know what people at home, if they haven't seen you already, should tune into the Shamrock FC card to watch you fight, because we know, by the by, they're going to get a hell of a fight with you. And you know, you're fighting a guy who likes to do first round finishes, so we know it's going to be
excitement.
It spells excitement, yeah, exactly. And you know what? You can literally if you even dragged him to the third round, you'd see him in new territory. You'd see how he'd respond. There's so much intrigue to this main event. The between about the pair of you. I like it already. You know, I'm quite excited about the matchup itself. I'll be doing my best to kind of tune in some way. Obviously, we can stream it, so I'll see what I can do online, and I'll be trying to watch it over here in the UK as well. But look, Joplin, you always bring it. We're going to tell everyone at home to watch the card anyway. But look, have a great fight, man. It's going to be awesome watching you compete again. But before you shoot off, what about your social media stuff, dude? How can people jump on it to kind of follow you?
Man, I'm on Facebook, of course, and then you can get me on Twitter at Armadillo MMA, and that's pretty much it. I got my Instagram, Armadillo1, but Facebook and Twitter, man, that's my biggest bet to follow me. But I appreciate all the support from everybody and people I don't even know about that follow me that I'm not aware of. Man, I appreciate everybody, and I like to bring a show for people, man. I like this a good sport, very enjoyable sport for me, and I love the people love it, and whether I'm a part of that or not, this is what I love to do. So, man, I just hope they enjoy it, and I'm going in there to get another W.
Hey, man, I know I enjoy it, so, dude, you bring a good game. That's all that matters. So, honestly, what about your sponsors, man? Have you got sponsors out there helping you out?
Oh, man, always, man. Poster Boy Fighters, of course, man. They've supported me since day one. Title MMA, of course. My guy Chad Copeberger over at Title MMA, and all the staff over there, man, they take great care of me. LC Construction, my boy Luke Cochran, and my gym, of course, man. Glory MMA and Fitness, man. I've been, Kraft's had my back since I was a pro. I've known them for a long time. Kansas City Party Bus. Man, that's really my main guys, man. That's the ones that have always had my back since day one, man.
And finally, mate, what about, obviously you said about your teammates, is there friends, family that you want to give thanks to?
Man, my mom, don't have much family, man. My mom, my sister, and my aunt, they're really only family I really got left. But, man, my gym, man, everybody in the gym, man, they're family, I've been around them guys, sweat, blood together, for 5 years or so at that gym with them guys. So they're more family than everybody. They're just as close to me as my mom. So, that's my family, man.
That's awesome, dude. Honestly, like I said before, have a great time. Have a great weekend at the Shamrock FC card. And have a great main event. The fans are going to have a great time in the crowd and enjoying that bout, man. It's a good card anyway, but the main event's absolutely great way. It's like a cherry on the top.
I hope they don't get upset, man, that it's not a 3-round war, because I'm going in there to handle this and go home.
Yeah.
Just do what you need to do.
Just do what you need to do and get home, man.
As they say, do what you do best.
Exactly, man. You're joined now with an unbeaten prospect in MMA. Horacio Escobar, you are taking on what is deemed, and it has to easily be, your toughest challenge yet, coming on the 21st, in the shape of William Joplin. You must be absolutely pumped to get an opportunity like this against someone who's really going to set the mark on where you are in your career.
When the name came across to offer, or the offer to fight on came across, it was confirmation that I was on the right path and I was going in the right direction. The tougher the fight gets, the better off everything else gets, So whenever I got the opportunity to fight Joplin, it was just more like, okay, finally it's time for the test. I was kind of waiting for it already.
Yeah, it's just who was it going to be was the question.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
well,
go on, mate. Go on, you carry on.
Oh, well, whenever I was already prepared, I had been real busy this year trying to get somewhere, and so I had just been waiting for the right fight. When this one came along, it was just it sang the right tune. It had the right opportunities to it, and I'm just ready to go for it.
Now, the interesting thing about this kind of fight that I love is it really is two contrasting styles. And what I mean by that, William Joplin, he can really grind a fight. He can do 3 hard rounds. But you yourself, you don't like to sit around too long. You like to get out pretty quick. You don't like to sit down in between rounds. You're a first rounder kind of guy. And that's what I love about this. It's almost like it's either going to go William's way or your way. And it's super interesting.
A lot of people have been telling me that I'm a first round finisher, but my amateur career, I had a lot of fights go 2-3 rounds. I mean, granted, there were only 3-minute rounds, but I've gone the distance before in lower fights, so I'm not worried if this goes past the second round. I'm expecting it to go to the third round. I'm expecting it to get grinded out because I know Joplin. I've seen him fight around town, and I've actually met the guy face to face personally before all this, so I know the kind of person he is. I know the kind of fighter he is, and I know that he's going to bring his game. I know he's going to be ready to go November 21st. So it's just going to be a question of what happens when it happens. I know he's going to be ready, and I know it's going to go all 3 rounds. It's going to be one of those fights that everybody's going to want to see.
So it's a case of obviously be ready for everything and hope for the best.
It is. It's having that mindset ready as well, because when you've had those 3 rounds, in the bag, it's key. I think on a pro level, you've done it in the amateur ranks. I think actually getting a good fight in you, like a 3-round fight, it doesn't have to be 3 full rounds. But just going to the 3rd round,
good for the confidence.
It does good for the confidence. It helps you as well.
Yeah,
it helps you assess.
I think at this point in time in my career, I'm 33 years old, so I'm not as young as some of these cats. So I think at this point in my career, being 4-0, fighting somebody like Joplin is a good mark, and I think it's good for me to see if I can get those 3 rounds in. If anybody's going to be willing to take me deep into those rounds, it'd be Joplin, and I'm curious myself to see what the turnout's going to be, to test myself and to see what my ability and my agilities how far they could take me.
It is, that's the thing, because if you can get to the 3rd round, you can then definitely get a very good assessment after the fight on where you are physically. You go, right, okay, maybe I need to work on this, maybe I need to work on that. It's great, because when you get the 1st round finishes, albeit there is a lot to learn in a 1st round just as much as there is in a 3-round fight.
Gives you more to analyse.
There's more to analyse, and you can get...
Exactly. My mind is prepared on the education of this fight. What is this fight going to teach me? Whether I win or lose, I think at this point for me is irrelevant. It always has been. I always try to learn from each fight and try to grow as a fighter and as a person at that. But I think with this fight, it brings very similar problems that I've met in the past, but it brings new ones aboard too. So, my training camp is with the American Top Team. I'm training with Jason High and Elsie Davis, and I'm getting a lot of work all the way around the table. So whatever comes up on November 21st, I think I'm going to be very much prepared for. So, like I said, it's going to be one of those fights that everybody's going to want to see,
I suppose, does it give you that kind of buzz, feeding off the fact that you're going to be the main event as well on Shamrock FC? It's a very good promotion to be part of, and being the main event, it's a nice label to have. It's an honour almost in a way that promotions are wanting to put you as a main event. Do you kind of feed off that energy, the fact that they put that faith in you?
Being the main event, it just kind of adds on to the pressure, but at this point, that's where everybody wants to be. You want to be in the limelight. You want to be the name that everybody remembers and the fight that everybody talks about. And so I've kind of been preparing myself mentally for that for a while now. So now that it's here, it's kind of like, okay, this is what I've been wanting. This is what I've been hoping for. And now it's here, so let's not disappoint. My main concern is to show up ready to put on a great show for the fans. Shamrock FC has always been great to me. They've always treated me real well, so I'm hoping to not let them down and put on a great show, especially as the main event. I'm expecting myself to be at my top tip shape and to put on a very, very outstanding performance.
And when you met him in the past, I take it you spoke. Did you think to yourself at the time, our paths might cross again, inside the cage, or and did you find, and if so, did you find yourself sort of sizing yourself up, against him, sort of thing?
No, I'm kind of one of those people that just live in the moment. I take things for as they come. I don't try to take on too much that I can handle, but I think you always got to be ready for a test. So, Joplin's a worthy opponent, to say the least, and I know it's going to bring different challenges, but I think if I prepare well, which I'm doing, I think I'll be all right. And even if we go all the way down to the third round, I think it's just going to be something that the people want to see anyway. So,
I think you're in great hands, especially being at ATT. The guys can break down, your opponents very well. You've got a great guys at that place who can really articulate how well a fighter you're going up against and how to break it down. And
These guys at the American Top Team, LC Davis and Jason High, the way we break down training and do training, it works out for me. My time there since I've gotten there has done nothing but improve my game. So the mental aspect of it, having my training partners like Jacob Akins and Elsie Davis and a couple other guys at JIP at American Top Team, it's an all around thing. You got to prepare yourself all the way around, and even for the sound of the night, that changes too. Every event brings on their own challenges, and I think this one, with me being the main event, it's just a question of handling the pressure and delivering what I need to be.
Yeah, that's the thing. They can talk to you about what the psychological side of things. They can help on that side because they've got such good experience. It's really invaluable, that kind of stuff. I think that people may not appreciate if they've not dealt with it, if they've not had someone to help them out with that. I think it's something they can't appreciate. So you're in very good hands coming into this fight, which, like we said at the start, it's a really good fight. It's a really showing where you're going to be after the fight. You'll know where you are, and I think having the guys there at ETT to help you, it's almost invaluable.
It's another element of the
importance. When you meet somebody who's been in a few fights and they've been in the game and they've been the main event, they've been the co-main, they've been that big name on the card before, and when you get a little taste of what their experience was like, whether however the outcome may be, it definitely helps, and just preparing yourself and what to expect and what could come up, I mean, once the gate closes, usually the plane just goes out the window and we just go at it, right? But, I mean, you want to try to prepare as much as you can,
Yeah, you do, absolutely.
I tell you what, it's not the first time I've seen or heard that.
Yeah, we've heard that before.
Everybody's got a game plan until you get punched in the face, and it's like, oh, snap.
Yeah, it is, my friend. I have to agree with you on that one. It is one of them things.
Sometimes he's like, well, this isn't a film I paid for.
No, it isn't. But you know what? That's what makes that's what we love about the sport, man. There's no set way.
Yeah, you can't script it.
You can't, and that's
you can't script it. And that's what you love about it.
Yeah.
When this sport first started out, I watched it on TV and videos here and there, but it was never something that like, oh man, I want to grow up and do that, What drew me into it was meeting the people and watching local people just come up and they start getting known and they start making something of themselves. When I first met Rob Kimmons out here in Kansas City, he was just starting out in the UFC, and now he's a well-established gym owner. He's got a good team with him, and he's a well-established dude in the game and outside of the game. So seeing people like that and meeting people like that, like James Krause, who started back in the amateur days, back when I first even got wind of it all, and now to see him become a gym owner and running his own team and becoming a successful fighter that way. I mean, that's what drew me into it, So the sport itself is starting to grow into something that can actually produce stuff for people, you know, and like give people hope and dreams, and be able to do more than just step into a cage and beat somebody up. You know, it transcends all that. And so I think with that, it breeds a whole different class of fighters now. You know, you got guys who have been grinding it out for years and years, you know, and nowadays it seems like it's easier to get more noticed, and I think that's what's drawing in all these new fighters and giving MMA a new face, and I'm hoping from here on out, you know, I'm one of those guys that stay in the line, stay in those names, and people see, you know, that I'm here to do something. I don't mean to go anywhere anytime soon.
You've nailed it on the head there. What the sport has turned for people, it's turned them into a different direction that they maybe wouldn't have had the opportunity to do. Like you said, like for example, the best one is to talk about the big UFC names. Like Ronda ended up doing movies. Tim Kennedy's doing a documentary series. Bisping's done TV. There's a ton of people who have went off on a different direction that they wouldn't have maybe, like Rich Franklin did a squash, what was it, a fruit bar or something like that? A juice bar, sorry. Yeah. He did juices.
Yeah,
so.
you know, I've seen some of these documentaries, and they're pretty good, and when, you know, you meet fighters and you know, you're like, oh, he's a fighter, and you meet that part of the person, but then when you get deeper into it and you realize some of these guys are more than just fighters, they're fathers, they're teachers, they're workers, they're this, they're that, and when you start to get to that side of the sport, it's like, oh man, you know, it turns into a more personal situation, and I think that's what the fans are starting to enjoy more. You know, these local shows are starting to give these local guys a platform to perform on, and it's starting to become more of a sport, more of an art, and I think that in itself is an accomplishment for all of us fighters out there. You know, we're taking this sport and we're developing into something that can actually be something, you know?
Yeah.
And I was also going to say, and pretty much everyone that I know that's involved in it, pretty much everyone, not everyone, but pretty much everyone, is a pretty decent human being at the same time. And
yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's nice to be able to say that, you know, I'm not just sort of blowing up MMA's trumpet, like, you know, I'm genuine when I say that, you know. It's,
because it's a humbling sport. I think that's one of the key things.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. It is. You know, I've the guys that I've fought and beaten or even lost to, there's a few of them that I still stay in contact with, and even a couple of them that I started training with, and you know, it's a different brotherhood once you get into the deeper part of the game, and you know, we all started from somewhere, and we're all looking for the same thing, and sometimes I think in different ways we kind of deal with the same problems, you know, and the same adversities during training and trying to get to that next fight, and I think that's where most of us find our common ground, and we tend to have that common understanding between each other. Yeah,
it is. I'm with you on that one. Absolutely, there's a brotherhood that it really is hard to explain unless you've experienced it. For people, you said before about, you know, you want your name. Hopefully you'll have your name out there in a way that will show that you're not just an MMA fighter. It might branch off into different directions. What about for people at home then who maybe want to join you on the journey then and maybe see what happens next in your future, not just on the 21st, but after? What have you got any social media stuff that people can follow, so to speak, to maybe experience?
Right now, if anybody wants to find me, it's pretty much, you can just go at bhthefighter.com, and I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook, and so, you know, usually I stay pretty busy there, you know, because I got 3 kids. I got kids at home, and I gotta raise them, and I got a full-time job that I do too. So I stay pretty busy, but most of the time everybody can get at me on Facebook under H the Fighter, Instagram under H the Fighter, and I'm always fighting for Shamrock here in Kansas City. I love Kansas City. I moved here about 17 years ago. It's my adopted home, and I'll do anything for this city.
And
you know, here recently, the Kansas City Royals just won the Royal Series, so big ups to the Kansas City Royals. Go Royals, go Blue. So I want to say what's up to them and let my city know I'm proud of them for that.
And I was about to say, for folks at home, we will put a picture up on our Facebook page, and we'll have all the details for you to jump onto his social media links, etc. So you can't miss out, and you've got no excuse.
There you go.
So you've got no excuse not to jump on, so we'll put that on there for you, buddy. What about sponsors? Have you got anyone out there backing you up, helping you out?
My sponsors are, I have one sponsors is Jetstream Guttering, based out of Kansas City. They are actually the company that I work for, but they are one of my main sponsors. Another one of my sponsors is Varsity Sports out here in Kansas City. They help me out with the shirts, and then there's American Top Team, who's giving me a home and a place to train, and my trainers LC Davis and Jason High, who've not given up on me and have helped me get better and more consistent. And there's a bunch of other people that I can go down, but those are the main people right now. Other than that, the entire city of Kansas City and my county, Wyandotte County, who's been in my corner the entire time.
Hey, that's great to hear the support you've got there. And look, ATT showed their faith in you, and it's paying off. 4-0. It's not like they're doing anything wrong in your pro career. Look, have a great time on the 21st. Have a fantastic weekend.
I will. Yeah, don't let nobody forget that November 21st, the ambush is real. So at Shamrock FC, come down and see me. It's going to be a great show. Don't be the guy telling the story, or don't be the guy that hears the story. Be the guy that tells the story.
Exactly. And if you can't make it, you can watch it online. If you go to the Shamrock FC website, you can pay and watch it. They have a live stream. Fantastic production.
Yeah, I know. I've met people that have done that. It's great quality. It's a good show either way, no matter how you do it.
Yeah, you're spot on. It is great quality. So if you can't make it, if you live obviously in the different part of the world, you can always watch it in a different part of the world. So do tune in. It's going to be a hell of a show.
Work nights or something like that.
if you work shift work or whatever, it's going to be a hell of a night. So
I'm not saying I ever do that.
No, but
I know of people that do.
Yeah. So have a great fight yourself. Have a great time at the event. It's going to be another stellar time at Shamrock FC.
Thank you guys very much. Enjoy the rest of your guys' day, and I hope I see you guys out there.
You won't, because we'll tell you now before we even stop this interview. We are in the UK, my friend, so we are going to keep a close eye online.
Well, keep a close eye online, man, and then hit me up on some video stream, man. I'll give you guys some intel on the fights or recap or something.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep it. We'll be keeping an eye on the 21st. Don't you worry. We'll definitely give you a hit up, my friend. And thank you for giving us some of your time today to talk to us. By the way, thanks for jumping on.
Not a problem. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, and there was Will and Horacio. Great to have them on. Great to hear their thoughts on the fight that they're going to go and throw down on each other. Now we're going to go and look forward about talking about the Bellator 145 card, which I talked about last week. How I said this is actually a really good card that they put together, which wasn't really put out there enough because they didn't have their marquee kind of fights on. And do you know what? There was a handful of fights that I thought I'd touch on that I think were worth keeping an eye on, and they were worth.
Yeah, it lived up to expectation.
There was only one fight that was a letdown because of it. Sadly, an injury during the fight. It was the Bobby Lashley-James Thompson fight, where Bobby Lashley won with a TKO in the first round, but sadly it was an injury caused from James Thompson's end, which caused the fight to finish early. He pulled or tore his hamstring. I don't know what the full diagnostic is of it, but he got an injury, and it's a shame when it happens because it really does. It's not that it puts Sam Graves. It does set up for a trilogy though. Because James Thompson can sit there and go, you beat me because I had one leg. Give me two legs and you won't beat me. So it does set up...
Yeah, I can see James Thompson shouting out about that one. He's not one to stay quiet. Just try winning a race with your tyres off your car.
Yeah, it does. I'm not saying James... I thought Bobby Lashley would have won anyway, but it's not to say that James Thompson couldn't maybe win the rematch. If they would have a trilogy, it would sell, it would make...
Let's see it again. It's very doable.
Well, if James Thompson can stop getting injured.
Yeah.
If he's not getting injured in the fight, it seems he's always getting injured outside of a fight. Next up was the Michael Chandler versus David Rickles fight. Michael Chandler again, he just has his number over David Rickles. Second round TKO, and it was one hell of a finish. Like I had to say, those hands on Chandler just landed every time. And sometimes, you know what, fighters just have your number. There's guys that you just, no matter how many times you fight each other,
no matter how good you are,
you just
who else you knock out,
He has your number, and that's the case here. So Michael Chandler bouncing back.
And I was going to say, it'll do him the world of good.
He needed to bounce back.
He needed the confidence.
Yeah, he did, and it was good. And David Rickles is a legit contender in that division as well. It's not like he was a no one. Like I said, when you're 16-3, It's not like because you're 16 and
You're
3.
no
you
mug.
Yeah. Next up was the title bout with Will Brooks against Marcin Held. A decision win for Will Brooks. Fantastic win for Will Brooks because it keeps that kind of potential stardom that I think he has got in him. And he had a tough bout against a guy. A pair of them, 7-fight win streak for Will Brooks, the 6-fight win streak for Marcin Held. The writing was there for a very close contest. And when it goes to a decision, it shows you why. The pair of them left it out there. The main event, though, was the interesting bout. You had Patricio Ferreira, who's, like I said, the Pitbull. He's a savage of a champion. And you know what? I thought he was going to win this.
There's a bunch of savages in that family.
I thought he was going to win this fight. 7-fight win streak. And then all of a sudden, Daniel Strauss comes along. And he gets a decision win. What I credit Daniel Strauss more so is the fact that he broke his hand in the first round.
We're not talking about one of those ones where you need a doctor to point it out. It's clear as it's broken through.
Oh yeah, and the dude kept going and kept fighting. So I take my hat off to him for finishing that fight. But you know what? Bellator card there, it actually did better numbers than the UFC card that was on.
Which goes to show, like, not only did we think it was going to be good, other people thought it was as well.
The issue you have, though, is that the UFC, that when that card was out, was up against college football. And college football brings in, like, 10, 11 million viewers. So there's always going to be a huge... It's going to be a huge battle, really, for the UFC to ever really... They're never going to beat the NFL. They're never going to beat it. It's something you got to say.
Yeah,
the NFL Super Bowl, for example, it beats any combat sport, like as in boxing, in viewerships, it's a horrendously high number. So, do you know what? I think maybe timing just didn't work well.
But like praise where praise is due, and Bellator,
put on a good card.
Put on a good card. So it just goes to show they can do it. And it's getting more and more interesting.
Now, the next guy we got up is another competitor on the Shamrock card. It's Marques Jackson. He joined us to talk about his bout against Jeff Sivum. I'll have a go pronouncing that. There you go. But we had Marques on, so here is Marques Jackson for you now to listen to. Okay, Mr. Jackson, thank you very much for coming and joining us. We will start off by saying that on the 21st November, you are taking on Jeff Sivum. I'll say it's Sivum. We'll say Sivum. Yeah, we'll call him Jeff. He likes us to call him Jay, for sure. Now, how are you preparing for this fight? Because as a fighter, if you've got losses in your career, you want to try and turn things around. How is it you're preparing for this fight with Jeff?
Absolutely. Like I said, my background pretty much, like I was a pretty good amateur, really good amateur. I had 3 titles, 15 and 5 as an amateur. Kind of was, hype trained and all that stuff. I took some tough fights in the beginning of my pro career, and I performed well with some of them. And I just, with MMA, just sometimes you mess up, one thing happens, and boom, that's the difference between a pro and amateur. But yeah, I definitely get back on that winning track. Winning, losing doesn't feel good. I'm a winner by choice, by life. I play college football, college wrestling, all that good stuff. I'm too athletic for this guy. So some of the things I changed in this camp, I got a nutritionist and strength and conditioning coach, Adam White, with Custom Consulting Fitness. It's a game changer right there. It's basically getting me stronger, getting me better, teaching me how to eat right, a little bit better in the diet, and also drop the weight gradually. So the cut on, cut week, cut days, not as drastic. And just also, a big thing with me is mental, too, I think. Just kind of, lose a couple fights in a row kind of gets to you and, like, hey, what am I doing? And what I need to do, I need to go out there and have a strong mental game. I've been kind of into this little law of attraction type thing. Conor McGregor kind of is into it. My old teammate and coach, James Crown, I'm really into it. Look good, feel good, perform good, all that good stuff. So kind of just putting in the work, and I think I'm just too athletic, too strong, and just it's my time to get back on track, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes fighters, if they did, like, say, lose a couple of fights, they sometimes go a bit extreme and think that they have to change the whole world to get back. Sometimes it is the smallest thing.
Yeah, it's just a little tweak.
It could be a little tweak. So, like you said, it could be the mental aspect. I just need to get a little thing like that done, and it can just change everything. Like you say, William Joplin was a great example. He spoke to us in the past about how his start at the start of his career, he kept getting decision losses, and that was the thing. It wasn't he was going in there and getting first round KO in the first 10 seconds. He just kept coming up short, and then he just eventually everything clicked. And that is the key. It's just changing things small little bits rather than going drastic and doing a big, 180, so to speak, and going off on everything. And obviously that's clearly what you've done. You've taken the little steps, which is a very good thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's also getting back to the basic MJ all day, which is my fight name, Marques MJ all day Jackson. And I'm just trying to, I'm a grinder, I'm a wrestler. That's kind of what I am. I use my wrestling shit up my striking. I fell in love with my striking, so I've gotten a lot better. But kind of got to use what you got there. Who knows? I might knock him out. I might take him down and beat the shit out of him for about 1 minute. But either way, it's going to end fast. Either way, because my wrestling could be the wrestling, could be the stand-up. I know. To get back to my old ways, I was winning fights, and even if if a guy can't stop my wrestling, so be it. So I'm excited. I know I'm getting stronger. I'm excited for to really see what my power does inside the cage. Live action with the 4-ounce gloves.
I was about to say, because with the wrestling background and the football background, you basically you have to have that explosive power. Then you must have that in you, and I suppose gradually with improving your striking, you've learnt to use that in a far more dangerous way that you could initiate to look for a takedown, incorporate a strike, and it can be a lot more powerful, and then someone could really believe it's going to be, because it's quite an explosive movement. For example, in football, when that whistle blows and you're on your toes and you've got to go in that 3-point stance and off you go, it's so explosive. Have you found to start utilising this as a weapon?
Absolutely, it's a big weapon. Actually, that's why I think my last couple of fights I banded it, because I got kind of drunk and in love with the whole striking game and just doing it. And just sometimes if you're really good at it, you still got to use it. You can't just abandon it completely. You got to use it, set it up. Even if you don't get a takedown, you got to make them leery of it. I want to make them to know that, hey, I'm a wrestler, and that way they make them think. But also make them think about it in the fight as well. And then there's different combos and different techniques where it's going to help with your striking as well. Like you said, being in football and wrestling, you got to be explosive. And I'm a pretty explosive guy when I put everything together. And I've been doing a lot of explosive lifts with my strength and conditioning coach, Adam White, as well. So, like I said, I'm excited. My mental game's back. I think I got picture perfect opponent to get a highlight reel to be on Inside MMA Highlights TV. So, and kind of get back where I need to be and get back on track, and then we'll go from there.
And now you're on here.
Yeah, and you're on here as well. So you've hit the pinnacle. You've hit the pinnacle anyway.
High now.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what the thing about the wrestling thing was that some guys, like you say, you get absorbed into the fighting and the striking game. Sorry, the fight, and it can also affect your stance, because a lot of guys, if they've got the wrestling and or maybe the football background, a lot of that is based on a certain kind of stance. You kind of have the low center of gravity. People who, they spend hours doing Muay Thai, you end up then being quite upright and on your toes, which can actually throw you off a little bit off your base. So I think a lot of people need to realise that if they've got a wrestling background or football background, they need to learn to strike with that kind of style. They need to learn that there is strong techniques, and I think that's maybe where guys make mistakes when they try to switch up and go, I'll do Muay Thai now, and it doesn't quite work for your stance or your style.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's because it's really sneaky style if you do it the wrestling style. It's funny you mentioned Muay Thai, because I've been working a lot of my Muay Thai with Wes Powers, American Top Team HD, the Muay Thai instructor. That's my team as well. But like I said, I've been doing it my way, the wrestler way. I mean, it's not your picture perfect, blood sport Muay Thai stance. It's just basically, hey, it's who I am. But at the same time, man, I'm learning some really neat stuff with this Muay Thai game, and I'm combining with my wrestling. If you really do it kind of go hand in hand, even with squeeze and stuff like that, or it can even set you up to a knee or set you up to a takedown. So I'm excited to combine both those together, and still be kind of sneaky with it,
Absolutely. And do you know what? The thing about Shamrock FC we found so far, Jess likes to put great matchups with guys. He likes to get two guys together who stylistically will put on a show. And you're talking about how you're wanting to perform, and it seems that he seems to find the right guys and girls as well, because he has women on there. He seems to find the right mixture, and also it's really exciting times with Shamrock FC because recently did the deal with a couple of bouts where the winner got to sign a Bellator contract. So there's a lot happening with Shamrock FC. It's definitely a promotion we feel that people
you can take it serious.
You can take it not just serious, but you can see there's a great way to go forward after maybe Shamrock. They're not one to try and hold people back. They're looking to help people progress. Do you feel that with Shamrock?
Oh, absolutely. Jesse Finney, Rob Donaker, and Brian Wayne Miller have done a great job with that. Also, I'm born and raised Kansas City, Kansas. With my football background, although I used to be in the nightlife industry as well. Dad's a Baptist preacher. I kind of have walks of all life, different people. I have a pretty big fan base that comes support me as well, so I love fighting in my home crowd, Kansas City, Ameristar Casino as well. It's really as close as Kansas City, Kansas as I can get so far as Ameristar. But they do a great job of pubbing their fighters and treating you right and checking in on us as well. And I do see it's an up and coming. It's not up and coming. It's already a great promotion right now. It's just actually just getting better. Pretty soon I see it getting probably a deal with hopefully getting on TV as well pretty soon, I hope. But it's a great card, great show, and I'm excited to be a part of it once again.
I have to say, even though are you a Kansas City Chiefs fan, are you?
Yeah, gotta be Chiefs fan. I'm Kansas City Chiefs, Kansas City Royals, who just won the World Series. Who the parade is on right now. I've been watching that as well. I gotta go with the hometown boys, KC Chiefs, and I played football at K State, so I rep the if it has Kansas in it, I rep them.
Well, I have to say, I will back you up for this fight, even though I'm a San Diego Chargers fan.
Oh. I tell you what, I was a big Chargers fan for a while. One of my good teammates and good friends, Darren Sproles, was originally played for San Diego Chargers.
Oh, I love Sproles, man. He's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, that's my weightlifting partner at K-State, man. We were the two shortest guys on the team. We lifted together, man. We put up some major weight. So, yeah, man, I actually was a big San Diego Chargers fan until they traded him.
I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe they got rid of him myself. I was absolutely stunned.
Yeah, that baffled me. That's still scratching my head.
Yeah, and Ryan Matthews, I don't know why they got hit. I think could have just kept Sproles, but that's the crazy sport for us, really, isn't it? NFL. Some trades you just get shocked about, don't you? That's the thing about the NFL. I love it though. I love it, but I love not this season anyway. Chargers, they've kind of went a bit flat, to be honest with you. But yeah. But hey, there's always next year. Super Bowl next year. It's going to happen.
Yeah, can't wait.
Right.
Now, buddy, for people to jump on social media to follow you for this journey that you're having, you'll come back into Shamrock to come out with a big bang. How are people going to do that for people at home that maybe want to follow you in a supportive way?
Absolutely. My Facebook's bigger than anything. It's my regular page. It's not really a fan page. It's a regular page. Marques Jackson, Marques Jackson. I do got an Instagram and a Twitter, trying to set both those games up. A lot of my pictures I put on Facebook are from my Instagram, which is at MJAllDay27, and also my Twitter handle is the same thing, MJAllDay27. So you can find me either there, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and also Facebook's the main one. And definitely, I'm a big promoter. My degrees in public relations from K State, so I know how to promote myself and get promote the fights on it. So you definitely may get tired of seeing my posts, but I'm gonna get these people there, and I'm excited for people to watch my journey, watch my weight cut, watch my mode, and just everything going. I'm a big believer. I put everything. I put my heart in my sleeve, so I put everything out there. So you're gonna see some dynamite explode on November 21st at Ameristar Casino, Kansas City, Missouri.
And you can all watch it, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. You can go into Shamrock FC website and watch it. Doesn't matter wherever you are. So there's no excuse not to. We want to say have a great fight. Never say good luck, because it's not about luck. It's about how hard you've trained, obviously. Have a great time. Have a great experience. We will post a picture on our Facebook page, obviously, of MJ with his links to his social media for everyone at home. If you do miss out on it, and you can always look at the Facebook page anyway. Thank you once again for coming on, and pretty much. Oh, have you got any sponsors? By the way, before you go, can't forget. Have you got any sponsors and coaches you want to thank?
Absolutely. Once again, I'll thank everybody for supporting me. American Top Team, HD, Jason Hyde, Jason Witt, LC Davis, Andrew Grillo, my manager, Dusty Spalding, best manager in the business. Just everybody there, all my people I train with, cross-train with, too many of you guys there. We're like brothers, love you guys, appreciate the support. Also, my sponsors, once again, Adam White, the Game Change right here, custom fitness consultant, check him out. He knows his stuff, diet-wise and also just fitness-wise. Clean Meals KC, Jeremy Wilson, L. Wilson. I got pre-made meals made for my diet, just awesome stuff where I'm so tired, where it's just awesome, nutritious food that's just awesome that helps me out here in the Kansas City area. Title MMA, my boy Chad up there just hooking me up all the time and always taking care of me. Also, KC Trends, my boy Chad Dirt, taking care of me. Allstate Insurance Agency, the Devereaux Agency, Complete Nutrition KC, big props as well. Like I said, I all you guys, I look forward to also Ever Ready Carpet Cleaning Service. I appreciate you guys coming in late, sponsoring me as well. So once again, I feel the love in Kansas City. I'm looking forward to once again put a stamp on this victory. And, I know what to say. MJ all day, all weekend if you're lucky. It's going to happen.
I tell you what, you've got a lot of support there. Sounds fantastic, really. That's great to hear that you've got people backing you up, which really does feel.
Yeah, it's good to see some backing.
It does. It fills our hearts a bit because it's great to see companies, helping out on the MMA scene. Like we said before, have a great time, have a great weekend on the 21st, and we will definitely be keeping an eye on everything across here in the pond.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. You guys are awesome.
Thank you, sir. And there we go. That was Marques coming on. Pleasure to have him on. Pleasure to speak to him, gentlemen. And we're going to jump now to UFC Fight Night 77 that happened, which was the Vitor Hendo end of the trilogy card. We'll start before we get to that. We'll start a couple of fights before it.
Yes.
You had the Maldonado Corey Anderson fight. I won't think I will remember that fight. Probably. I forgot about the fight pretty much after it finished.
Yeah, not spectacular.
Corey Anderson did the same as that fight, almost like he did in the Jan Blachowicz fight. And my worry is you can't get away with that against the higher level guys.
No. And division. Do you know what? Maldonado is... Okay, he is in that sort of twilight of his career, shall we say.
But Maldonado's specific style fits certain fighters. Like, it fitted well with Rampage Jackson.
Yeah, you need somebody that's going to engage with him.
You need a Rampage Jackson. Or someone who's just... someone who's
and then you guguaranteed fun fights,
If Chuck Liddell was around, that would be the matchup you'd make.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a lot of fun. But, styles make matchups, and that's exactly what it was. It was a basic of Corey Anderson being a blanket, and not a very exciting blanket. Yeah, not the one you'd have.
He did what he had to do to win. Yeah. Now, let's be honest. If he'd gone into a striking game with him, I think Maldonado would be...
If he said, I want to stand there 50 minutes...
And, okay, was it fun? No, it's not fun, but...
he's got the win.
But he's got the win, I mean, the UFC are cutting people left, right and centre, and sometimes people just have to do what they have to do.
They might be just playing safe. Everyone might be just playing safe at the moment just to get the wins. It's a tough one.
The only thing is, it doesn't pad out your wage slip.
No, it doesn't. Next up, we're going to take on the Gilbert Burns Rashid Magomedov fight. Mr. Burns took the win, and Rashid Magomedov.
I was going to say, don't do it, Bruce.
No, Rashid Magomedov took the win, and again, that fight, like I said, it was literally a two-way fight. It was Magomedov was going to get a decision win and grind it out, or you're going to see Gilbert Burns smoke him. It was literally you had one or the other. It was a flip of a coin fight, and it turned out to be the grinding style of Rashid Magomedov getting that win, and
I think it's a great win for him.
It's a good win because of where he went down to Brazil. He went up against a guy, like I say, in Gilbert Burns, who was undefeated.
And legit ground skills.
And I think that it's great fun because he's 4-0 in the UFC. Now, who he gets next, I don't know, but tell you
Do you know what? He's going to be another killer.
He's going to be a nightmare to fight, though. That's the other thing. He's going to be a pain in the ass to fight. Next up, which was pretty much set in stone, we kind of thought anyway, was Alex Oliveira against Brito Hallman. I didn't see anything else other than a win. And do you know what? Beautiful hands from Alex Oliveira. Fantastic hands. I tell you what, it was awesome fight, and it was beautiful finish. And Brito Hallman, well, he went for a little walk and on his backside. And what was interesting though about this, ladies and gentlemen, is you hear about fighters talk about salaries, and we had Neil Seary talking about how he works still and he still has time to train. Hallman put a status up about this. He said about how he's not making excuses, but the problem he has was the money that he makes from the UFC limits him to how much he can pay coaches. He can only bring one coach over with him. He couldn't afford to pay for like training partner, etc. to come to Brazil. He has to pay bills, and the money that he makes, because he has to work as well. It's just not enough for him to do, and it's still right now. It still grinds because the UFC pride themselves on being the best of the best. Yet you can't have people work. You can't have people being a full-time athlete. They can't afford to be a full-time athlete.
I can remember our first interview we had with Ian McCall, and he spoke about when he fought in Dublin, about how he had to leave one of his corners behind. He said, "Look, I really need that $1,000 for myself."
Yeah.
It's because that's what you're talking about. It's if you're going across the pond, either way, you're talking about $1,000 probably at least, and okay, well, when you're only picking up however much, that's a big percentage. So but
you'll see Ronda Rousey with her entourage of family and people, friends, and you think, I wonder how much the UFC paid.
I was going to say, I wonder how many flights she got.
Yeah, how many
flight tickets? I mean, don't get me wrong, she's getting paid. Okay, there's a few picking up good paychecks.
There are a few, but it's not enough.
And the UFC talk about these people. They say, oh yeah, they're getting paid well. Okay, but you got 500 people on your card. Okay, let's talk about 200 of them. Tell us about 200 of them. Yeah. And tell us what they're earning.
Yeah. And do you know what? I think...
Do you know what?
I felt for him when I read that status because I thought, do you know what? Yes, it isn't. It's not an excuse, but do you know what? He made a point that you should look at, not the loss, but what he's having to do to get... He's fighting on the UFC. That's on the main card, and yet he's still not able to get anything like that. And you think to yourself, I wouldn't want to fight in Brazil if I couldn't afford to do that. I'd rather just fight a local show and save myself money and save myself tickets.
Some of the UFC... I know I'm going a little bit off on this one, but some UFC shows, their wage bill is $300,000. Okay, now their gate is close to $1 million.
Depends on where.
Yeah, depending on where. Now, I'm not talking about pay-per-views or anything.
Fight night card.
Yeah,
just a fight
fight night card. So say it costs. Sometimes it's way under 300,000. Sometimes it's more like 150,000.
Depends on where.
Depends on where. Some of these small local cards, Now, if you're taking, say you're taking a $800,000 gate, and that's a hefty whack. Now, as I said, we haven't even mentioned TV and advertising. Yeah. We're talking just gate alone. That is a massive, massive
margin.
Now, obviously, they got setting up of the place and all the rest of it. Okay, so
they've got a cost of getting.
So let's say it is 300,000. You're talking 500,000, $500,000 that they're taking on that, and we haven't talked about advertising or TV.
I just, we're not anti-UFC. We are is...
I'm thankful to the UFC.
We are, but what we are is we're against the restrictions.
Let's get the pay right.
We're against them not looking after the fighters, and they're not. I don't care what Dana White says. I'd sit there until he's blue in the face. I'd say you're not. Because this is a prime example. And
another thing. So the pay was what it was, but they were able to... A motivated fighter or a motivated team was able to go out there and get the sponsorship to really help up that wage, shall we say, and help them. And now that's been largely taken away from them.
Yeah. They can't balance the book in a way. So to speak, yeah.
Now if the only people that don't sort of mind probably weren't that well, didn't have a highly motivated team with the sponsorship around them. You know.
It's a shame, but we're going to go to the next fight. Which
Anyway,
is,
slight tangent, but it is important.
The next fight is going to be the next potential contender for the 135 belt. He's definitely thrown his hat into the mix, really. Is Thomas Almeida, who fought Anthony Burchank, who Almeida just, wow, that kid.
Scary dude.
He is one scary kid.
He showed in his fight against Brad Pickett that he can get close to losing and still find a way back.
And he did it. He won in style by putting Burchank to sleep.
So take notice, folks.
Smoked him. That dude hits hard.
You have to take notice.
Mixes his strikes.
And do you know what? He's still a kid.
He is.
I don't care what anyone says. He's still a kid.
He's 20-0, and I can't wait to see. I think John Dobson has to fight him.
Yeah.
Dobson's. I love that matchup. I love that idea of Dobson.
Yeah, makes
Dobson
sense.
Dobson would go into the bantamweight division as a top contender. So do you know what? I love that matchup. Potentially John Lineker. I think there's a couple of fights Almeida.
Let's give him a bit of speed and see how he.
I think Almeida should fight either Lineker or
Well,
Dobson.
I tell you what, the Lineker fight sounds tasty.
It does, yeah. It does.
Tasty. Got two people that are not looking for the ground.
Next up, we're going to go to the co-main event, which was Glover Teixeira versus Patrick Cummins. And like I said, Cummins could try and use his wrestling, or Glover's going to land the strikes. What happened?
Glover's got more ways to win.
Glover laid those hands on Cummins, and Cummins didn't know what was coming out. Now, Cummins afterwards said, I can learn a lot from this fight. I said, do you know what you can learn? Your striking isn't good enough.
It's
as
sucks.
simple as that. I said,
Yeah.
no, your striking's not good enough.
Yeah.
You can wrestle all day long, but if you don't have the high level of striking that's needed, you're not going to make it. And I've said that about Patrick Cummins. He's never going to be.
He needs those hands
in that top echelon of the higher ranked light heavyweights. He's not there. He's not going to be. He doesn't have time on his hands. He really doesn't.
Do you know what? Yeah, and he seems a likable guy. He's got, he's okay. His wrestling's legit, and all that. But you need to cover all the dot all the I's and cross the T's and all that with your training.
Next up is we'll talk about the main event.
I'm a little bit sad.
I'm a little bit sad, but it happens, and I think Mr. Gimmick, I'm on nothing
Mr.
but
Positive.
I'm on nothing but love from an imaginary person. Vitor Belfort got the win against Dan Henderson.
The guy looks so different now. I don't right. Vitor does have a fan following, and these people are blind and deaf. I don't care what anyone says.
Now,
I'm not talking literally.
I would phrase this. I'm a fan of Vitor Belfort's fights.
Oh yeah. They were so fun.
I will never ever say I've never enjoyed Vitor's fights. I loved watching Vitor fight.
Because back in the day, everyone was not everyone, but there was a large amount of people that were.
The majority of people were taking something back in the day, and do you know what? It just
so it was even Stevens.
It was what you did.
But then since when the UFC and the sport tried to start cleaning itself up, you know what? I don't care what anyone says. Vitor's. You look at Vitor when he fought Bisping. The man looked like a 19-year-old beach bodybuilder.
He looked like a bodybuilder.
He looked amazing. You know what I mean? Christ, you'd have to tie your girlfriend away from him. Yeah. And look at him now. He's starting to look like
nothing like that. Doesn't look anything like it.
A young grandfather.
Yeah, he doesn't look anything like it. And he went into the fight against Henderson. The thing was, I said, if Henderson can survive the initial burst, he will. But the thing was, Henderson does the same thing, and that's what it was. He has this same movement, and Vitor literally did the same finish he did in the last fight, and that's what finished him. Vitor has this, Henderson has this thing about his bobbing and weaving where he dips down to the right, where Vitor could land that head kick.
He does the same. He's done it for years, folks.
Yeah, he has done it for years.
It's in him. It's stuck in him. It's
and the problem you got is people can read that. If you do the same thing for years and years, people will read it and see it. And do you know what? Vitor just literally did. That's all Vitor saw, and that's how he got the finish. Herb Dean talked about maybe it was a potential premature stoppage. I have to actually disagree with him, because I saw Hendo when he was on the ground. You saw him go for a split second. He went out for a split second and came back. You could see that. So I wouldn't agree with Herb Dean on that side of things. But obviously, I would have liked to have gone a little bit longer to hopefully see if Hendo recovered, but it didn't.
Yeah. The dream was that Vitor was going to lose.
I think Hendo should retire now, though. He's got
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Like,
I think
as
Henderson
much as he
needs
wants
to
to
be
go out and win,
offered a job, and
as
you know
much as Hendo wants to go out and win, I'm sure that's what he wants.
do you know what? I don't want to
don't
see
want
the
it.
guy get beaten up by
I
because who'd you give him next?
Yeah,
Do you know what? It's that middleweight division is scary.
it's not that. It's there's.
Okay,
Don't give
right,
him anyone.
do you-
They don't have to. The UFC
I
doesn't
tell you
have
what,
to.
if they had to give him someone, do you know what I'd give him? Give him Bisping. Let them duke it out.
They've already duked it out though.
I know, but Bisping would love it. You know what I mean? And do you know what? Dan Henderson could beat Bisping still.
I think he could because Bisping isn't a knockout artist.
No, exactly.
Now,
So-
ladies and gentlemen, before you start rambling on, I know Bisping has over I think it's over 15 finishes via knockout or TKO, but what he has shown in the UFC, when it comes to that higher kind of grade, he's not had knockout power, and he's even he can't.
He admits it.
He admits he's not.
Don't get me wrong. Yes, he'll hurt you.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. What he does do is he drowns you with effort.
Yeah, he drowns you with an accumulation of strikes, but you won't see Bisping go in one day and use one punch and smoke someone. It just doesn't happen for Bisping.
No. In this top
and it's
10,
it's actually his style of striking that does it. He's not very heavy-footed. He's very on his toes, bouncing, and that's the problem because he's not setting his weight down when he throws the strikes. He's not able to use his body weight and exert that power.
and we are Bisping fans.
Yeah, I am a Bisping fan.
We're Bisping
I'm
fans.
just saying his style.
What he does very well. It's
Yeah.
just to be able to do what he does. You know how he sort of keeps moving and all that. He has to sacrifice the power, he doesn't have this natural freakish.
He goes on his toes and he comes in for the strikes for a cluster, and then he will back out. Now, by doing that, it means he's on his toes, and that's if anyone who knows what anyone knows about the striking. To get that heavy striking, you have to have a good base and have your feet planted.
Plant, yeah.
You've got to rotate the ankles, rotate the hips, and then the shoulder, and then the power comes from the fist. Bisping isn't doing that enough. He's just coming in with about, I say, a 67%, splurge of shots in power. Now,
Do you know what? I think he is actually slowing down a little bit though as well.
well,
In his last fight, he
it's called age against Tyler
yeah,
Slayers.
It's
I say slowing down. I think the
don't get me wrong. He's slowing down to everyone else's maximum. Sort of thing.
I disagree. I think what it was the smaller cage.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Yeah,
He was his style of fighting is to get in, get out, and
yeah. If
the
he was out in
smaller
Vegas
cage-
or a big show
bigger
event,
cage.
maybe let's be honest, Bisping in London, it's got to happen. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I'd be surprised if it doesn't
A
happen.
bigger cage suits him,
And I'd like to see him in London as well.
but a smaller cage
Now, obviously,
did limit him.
Yep, you'd have a big cage in London at the O2.
Maybe.
I think so, big arena. Although I'm sure I'm probably going to end up being wrong, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is a big cage in the O2. I'm sure somebody can let me know. If that is so, then he may be able to do this. But it's
It's style.
so
makes
if Dan
matchups
Henderson
anyway.
was, do you know what? It's
But I don't know if you'll see Bisping and Henderson at London. I doubt it really. In fact,
Do you know what,
I-
it'd be
no,
a li- it'd
you
be
won't.
a-
You won't see it actually because Henderson be out medically.
yeah, he might have a 6-month ban or
He'll
something.
be medically suspended. You won't see it. What you might see is, I think you might see Gegard Mousasi against Bisping. I've heard rumours of this. I've heard rumblings of it. I'm not sure if
it's been mentioned a
but
couple of times.
It's
but-
rumblings. We'll go on to Vitor. What's next for Vitor? It's a tough one because what do you do with Vitor Belfort? He's
Throw him to the lions.
well. That's what
Yeah.
you've got. Well, the thing is, in the middleweight division, you've got the top 4 guys are all going to face off shortly at the end of in December. So you get a bit of a better picture then. I think what's going to happen with Vitor now, he's just going to go off and be having to wait. I think he's going to have to wait because I think if, for example, you're Romero and Jacare, I think the loser of that fight, you might see Belfort fight them.
Another possible is a Machida fight.
Yeah, I have heard about the Machida thing. I have mentioned that as well.
Big show in Brazil.
I think Machida Belfort might be a better idea because both of them because of their ages, and I think the style suits Machida because Belfort likes to come out of that quick speed. Machida likes to step away, counter.
Yes.
I think it would actually work in Machida's favour, not Belfort's. But you don't have a clue what the UFC are going to do with anyone.
I wouldn't mind seeing that fight though.
I wouldn't mind seeing that fight. I would like
and
to see it.
they go to Brazil about 6 million times a year, so I'm sure they can put it in somewhere there.
We're going to go to our next guest, which, like we said before, we had Matt Ray on the week before, and he's taking on Wes Powers. Now, Wes Powers' agent listened to the interview, and he got in contact with us, and he said, look, Matt Ray dodged a question on Wes Powers. There's a lot more to it. If you want to have someone on, give me a shout. And do you know what?
We're free reign.
I said, yeah, come on.
we'll let anyone have a voice, if you know.
So we got Ace Anderson to come on and talk to us about why the matchup was made and what's happening. So here is Ace for you now. Okay, Ace Anderson, you've decided to come and join us because you would like to elaborate, let's say, a bit more on the matchup between Wes Powers and Matt Ray. Because Matt Ray, like, you believe that he went around the reasoning between the matchup between the two.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. Matt Ray is a bully. You know, he's fake, absolutely fake. You know, he's not even a good fighter. And he has an issue with me. I don't set up my own fights. I'm out of his weight class. You know, and Wes Powers is my best friend. And what Matt Ray did to me that affects my personal life with an old relationship is actually uncalled for and unprofessional. So, you know, Wes Powers, he's about to go pro. I run a fighter management company, and he's my best friend. And Wes is going to be my first client. And he just said, you know what, if I had the opportunity to take down Matt Ray, I'd love to do it. And the matchup came to us on a silver platter. Rob Donaker asked us if we wanted it, and we said, hell yeah. So Wes is not only fighting for himself as his last amateur fight, but he's looking to bring home justice.
So, obviously there's a backstory to it, and we understand that. Why do you feel then that Matt Ray, when we spoke to him, didn't elaborate a bit more on this?
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
Oh, why do you think that Matt Ray didn't talk more about this then when we spoke to him? Why didn't he maybe talk about the potential friction that's there?
Because he's a coward, and he knows that I'll call him out on my podcast.
Ah, okay then.
That's simple.
So,
he's fake, man. He's a coward and he's fake, you know.
So Wes Powers, obviously you say he's your best friend. Do you feel then that with that kind of relationship that you two have, does that mean there's a bit more...
we're literally identical as far as like on paper. You know, we both come from broken homes, you know, broken families. We met up in the MMA scene. You know, we were both actually booked one time to fight each other back last July, but matchups got switched, and we were actually in a title tournament for the 185 fight hard title, and Wes ended up winning. I ended up losing. We didn't fight each other, but the people in the bracket, we were kind of outcast in the real world, but, you know, if you can't beat them, join them. And I wouldn't want to fight Wes Powers. I'd die. So we basically try to help each other because I'm good at the promoting smarter things of MMA, and Wes is really good at fighting in the scheme of things. So, you know, together, it's like a Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar as far as WWE terms. So,
now obviously,
I'm on the red.
now I assume then there's going to be Sorry, Wes. Go ahead, Wes. Sorry, Ace. Sorry, buddy. I get mixed up here. So I was going to talk about Wes, but go ahead. Carry on.
Yeah. So you know, Wes is going to win. You know, Wes is real. Wes will tell you that he's fighting to bring home justice, and Matt's just going to say, "Oh, this is a really good matchup, and I can't wait." No, Matt Ray's hiding from the truth. He's going to lose, and at the end of the day, I'm going to be holding Wes's hand above everybody, and we're going to say, "We told you so." Because we hate to say we told you so, but in the long run, we told you so. You know, it's ridiculous. Matt Ray keeps getting looked at as the next best thing, which he's not, and that kind of really pisses Wes off.
Do you feel that Wes?
You're either. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, my only question is, are you going to, obviously, because there's a story to it, a background to it, there's a potential worry then, I always feel that fighters might accidentally get that too much emotional attachment and distract their mind from the fight. At the end of the day, it is a fight. You need to focus on the fight itself. You need to focus on getting the win, the technique. You need to kind of block that stuff out. You know, are you making sure that that's the main focus at the end of the day? That, you know, they're getting the hand raised.
No, it won't. It's already affected Matt because, you know, he said that we could put our differences aside and he'd come on my show and talk about his matchup, but obviously that didn't happen because he's scared. You know, where Wes came and talked about it, and Wes is really good at separating. Letting his head get too attached into anything. People forget that Wes is also a military veteran, where he went overseas and he was able to leave his bullshit at home from affecting when he was, going to war. So every MMA fight's going to war. Wes won't have a problem. Wes is going to win. Yeah. I'm already in Matt Ray's head. Because Matt doesn't see Wes Powers, he sees me.
Well, you know what? That's the thing. It's hard sometimes to find the backstories on fighting, because unless you're around everyone, we don't know. It's impossible to. But it's interesting to know about these interesting, these kind of twists,
sub-stories.
These sub-stories. Yeah. It does add a lot to it. Now, like you say, Matt didn't come on your podcast, but Wes did. Do you feel that after this kind of quarrel has been squashed, so to speak, do you think maybe then you two could speak a bit more about it?
No. If Matt Ray would have left my ex-girlfriend alone, this wouldn't be an issue. I'll leave it at that.
All right. So it's
fair enough. Not a problem. That's fine. But you know what? As long as the issue gets, I'd say, settled, so to speak, in a way, you can walk away happy that it's been dealt with. That's the key. Now, I'm sure you're going to be shouting from the crowd, obviously, come this bout. But you said there that you've got a podcast. Do you want to let people know what that podcast is? We're more than happy to shout out.
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me plug it in. It's called Fact We're Talking MMA. You can search us on Facebook and on the Spreaker app. It's every Thursday at 9 p.m. Central Time, and then every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. We cover all St. Louis and worldwide MMA. We just speak the facts. We kind of have fun and give out free tickets to shows such as Shamrock, XFN, Bellator, Fight Hard, Rumble Time, and that's about it. It's hosted by me and two of my other friends, Sean Scott and Stephen Becker, and we just have fun and talk MMA. And it's hosted by MMA fighters, which not a lot of podcasts are, so that's why we try to just be different, We also like to have our facts in order, too, before we talk. Saturday, Wes Powers is going to bring justice home. I'm going to be acting professional. I'm not going to be acting like a douchebag. The last thing I want to do is, act unprofessional, at a promotion. But, back in the back of my mind, I'll be grinning and smiling.
I was going to say 8 a.m. on a Sunday. I know I'll be asleep. 8 a.m. on a Sunday.
Oh yeah, well you can always find us on the Spreaker app too. So.
Well, I was going to say, there you go, people. It is there.
Don't let that time scare you too much. Yeah.
No, hey, look, we are happy to get everyone out there. And you say you do? Are you fight management? Are you as well?
Yes, sir, I am.
So how can people, maybe in that area want to talk to you, maybe look to get hooked up, maybe get a bit of advice and help? How can people contact you on that?
Find me on Facebook, just search in Ace Anderson, or you can go ahead and just call me on my cell phone. It's 314-278-8676. Again, 314-278-8676. I got 3 clients under me, and I've been getting them an average about $1,500 in sponsorships a fight. So I'm a very busy man, but I also have my own podcast. I have a lot of companies backing me up financially. So I just give the wealth to them, the fighters that I manage, because, at the end of the day, I'm not going to be a fighter forever, but I love this sport and I want to stay in this sport somehow. So that's that.
Awesome stuff, that's what we like to hear about it.
And, it sounds like you're looking after your fighters, which I think is essential in this day and age, because
it's easy to get.
It's hard to pick up a good pay in fights. You know what I mean?
So sponsorship
is a big thing. Really does help.
It does. And I'm the same as you, Ace. I won't be fighting forever, so I am wanting to stick into the sport in some way. And I got my foot in the podcast side of things, so that's me happy enough. And it's been lovely having you on, Ace, to find out about this. You know, it's quite an enlightening moment to hear about it, and I like it because it adds a bit of spice now. It's a bit more.
Okay. And I tell you what, we all know women like to gossip, but we like to find out what's being said.
Yeah.
Right.
So honestly, Ace, thanks for coming on, mate, and just talking to us and letting us know about this.
Hey, thanks for having me on, and much appreciation. If you guys would ever like to come on my show, I'd be more than happy to have you on in the future. If you don't mind, I'd like to share your page on my Facebook page, if that's cool.
You are more than welcome. What we'll do as well, we'll share your information as well on our page, so people can look at it, especially even fighters that might even see it as well. So that's key.
And we're always happy to come on for a chit chat, aren't we?
We are, and luckily enough, 8 a.m. on a Sunday is not 8 a.m. for us.
It's not too bad for us.
It's not too bad for us, so we're okay.
so for us, it's a lot more reasonable being in the UK.
It's a lot more reasonable, yeah. So, but yeah, what I'll do is, Ace, we'll definitely have to converse and look to sort something out. What I'll do is, we'll stop this recording now and we'll talk off air for a minute or two then, buddy, okay? So once again, thanks for coming on and just giving information, not just to me and Mike, but everyone else listening too.
Thank you.
And there we go, that was Ace Anderson.
Quite intriguing.
I love it when we get a bit of background, and that's the background there.
Yeah.
So be careful what you do, be careful who you know, and be careful what you get up to in life. Now, like I say, you can watch that. That's on the Shamrock card on the 14th. They've also obviously got one on the 21st. But we're going to skip now to the upcoming BAMMA card that's happening in the UK. There's a handful of fights on the card. They're doing a lot of title fights. I've noticed that they seem to be quite a few title fights. How do I start this? Okay, we'll start from the bottom, work our way up. All right, one fight that isn't a title fight. But do you know what? I'm really quite looking forward to this fight. It's Stuart Austin versus Paul Taylor, and it's in the heavyweight division. The reason why it's really quite an interesting matchup is Paul Taylor is the one who lost to Mark Godbeer back earlier on. Now,
he's a little bit like... How do I explain? He's a little bit like our English version of Roy Nelson, in the fact that you look at the guy. Yes, yeah, you look at him, and I'm sorry, Paul. I love you. You look a little bit out of shape.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that guy has got good hands.
Yeah.
Good hands. And do you know what? He can fight. He
Yeah.
really can fight. Anyone that looks at him and thinks...
Yeah. This and Stuart Austin's a young lad in great shape. He's with Team Titan. But the thing is, Paul Taylor, he went across. He's trained with AKA, Cain Velasquez and all them boys. This one is a really good one because Stuart Austin, he's young. Paul Taylor, he's a bit of an older head. You've got a really cross kind of generation matchup, and it's also it's really setting forth.
And he's durable as well.
He is, and that's the thing. You've got to be interested to see what's going to happen. Is the experience going to take over? Is Stuart Austin maybe going to be outwitted?
Do you know what? I'm actually going to side with Paul Taylor on this one.
I just look forward to the matchup.
It's good. And do you know what? It's a good fight for Stuart at this stage of his career, because
it's good for heavyweight division as well, because you need like that. It's not often you get talented fresh blood, and it's not often you get talented fighters in the heavyweight division.
And with the UK, the MMA in general needs it.
MMA in general, yeah.
But, and it's good for the UK.
So, like we said, Mark Godbeer couldn't fight Ruben Wolf because Mark Godbeer stepped away from the bout for reasons that haven't been announced yet, which is annoying when you potentially know why. But anyway, Mark Godbeer stepped away. And they have an interim heavyweight title, which is a bit frustrating. But anyway, Ruben Wolf taking on Thomas Denham, which I was surprised about this match. I was super surprised Thomas Denham got it. I thought they might have put in Paul Taylor. But, Thomas Denham, he's a gentleman who lost to Mark Godbeer and got smoked as well. But he's a 7-7 fighter. He's went from light heavyweight. He's back up to heavyweight. It was a bit of a surprise win. Announcement. Ruben Wolf is a 4-fight win streak. He's a guy who's kind of the European #1 heavyweight scene as he beat Paul Mulhern back at Made for the Cage. It's a matchup for Thomas who really he's got nothing to lose. But the thing is, I worry about Thomas Denham because he's 6 losses out of 7 TKO or knockout. So that's you got to think about his age, and he's already getting finished like that. Kind of like Stefan Struve. Stefan Struve got a few knockouts in his career. When he gets finished hard. And you got to think,
you worry a bit.
You're not durable. If you're not durable already, you're never going to be durable.
And especially if you're mentally tough.
Yeah.
And so you know, and you think to yourself, sometimes people are too tough for their own good.
Too tough for their own good. So that's a fight that's happening, but it's
and Wolf's legit.
Yeah, Wolf. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the flyweight division. You have Rani Sadi, who's a flyweight champ, against Shaz Haq. I spoke Shaz Haq. He's quick, really nice guy as well. I've met him before. Top guy. You know, it's the way he talks to his guys well, and the way he talks about fighting. Lovely gentleman. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He's beaten the likes of Ronnie Mann, Damian Rooney. You know, he's beat some talented fighters, this Shazak. And then you got Rami, who's on a 4-fight win streak as well. He's got his wins. He got a lot of wins in BAMMA. I think you might see a new champion crowned. But anyway, I look forward to seeing the flyweight fight, because I love the flyweight dudes anyway. Next up, you have a light heavyweight title fight in Marcin Lazar against Paul Craig. Marcin is a guy who has actually beat Rico Rodriguez. You know, he's a guy who's been around the block. He's beat some names. His only loss was to Max Nunes back in March 2013, which is by no means a bad loss.
Yeah, that's
because Max Nunes at the time was touted for the UFC. He was really on a good win streak. He had good momentum behind him. And Marcin, he's went on and beat some top tough fighters. You know, and his last to win the title, he beat Brett McDermott and finished him. And Paul Craig, he's undefeated. He's a submission specialist more than anything. I look forward to the matchup, you see, because it's going to be Marcin's first defence as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how Marcin reacts to that fight with the fact that he's got the title now. Because you're not fighting for the title, you're defending it. It's a different kind of hunger that you're going for.
Paul Craig beat anyone of note?
No. Well, no, it's last. Then you've got
inside joke, folks.
Yeah. Then you've got main event co-main event. Ed Arthur versus Shea Walsh. Bantamweight matchup. You got Ed Arthur, who's 6-0. He's a young, talented kid. He's got the bantamweight title. He's, like I say, he's won I think 3 fights in BAMMA already. He's got his titles there. Shea Walsh, a complete polar opposite. He's got twice as many fights. He's a little bit more than that. He's more experienced. He's on a 3-fight win streak. What do you do? Do you know what? You get Shea Walsh with the experience. Ed Arthur, who's really confident. I follow him on social media. Dude is like he's gonna literally, you have to chop his head off to get a belt off him, it sounds like. But BAMMA have put an interesting matchup between someone who's young and talented with a belt, but the guy who's got experience in Shea Walsh. I can't call that one. But the main event, it's an interesting matchup. Martin Stapleton is fighting lightweight title. Sorry, I was going to say light heavyweight, lightweight title against Gavin Sterrett. And Martin Stapleton, it's actually quite interesting because Martin Stapleton had a bad time in BAMMA. Basically, it's the best way to put it. He had 3 fights, lost all 3. Since then, he's had a 3-fight win streak, 2 on BAMMA, 1 on FCC. And then you've got Gavin Sterrett, who actually had a different kind of experience at Bellator, where he's had 2 wins in Bellator against Murad and Mike Eatis, who we've had on as a guest. But the problem for Gavin is he hasn't fought since March 2014. Martin Stapleton's fought 3 times, I think it is, since then. So is there a ring rust factor that's going to play into effect? Huge question to be asked there. But do you know what? It is an interesting one, because you think if Gavin could hold his way in Bellator, what does that say if Martin couldn't? There's a lot of questions on that, because they're both fighting guys on a high level. So I quite look forward to that matchup. That as a main event, hell of a fight.
Praise where praise is due. BAMMA, I think they put out a good card there.
They have put out a good card. There's obviously fights on the prelims and stuff like that. There's a handful of fights, if I'm brutally honest with you. But
I mean, in the past we've given BAMMA a bit of grief.
We give BAMMA grief because on the back, what people don't know, in the scenes behind, it's chaos. But on the front, they put on a good front. That's why.
Yeah, and
that's the truth. I know this. I know this for a fact. So
there's a. But of late, they put out some good cards.
Yeah.
And
they've rebranded themselves, and I know a lot of a lot of the fights, because Cage Warriors went, a lot of guys are looking for fights. You see, that's pretty much it, and they need to fight. So that's pretty much what's happened. Guys need to fight. BAMMA has snapped up a few of the guys and put them on the cards.
Yeah,
and they're matching them up, which is what fighters need. But not all the fighters have been matched up on there, because not everyone will go there because of what they know about what's going on behind the scenes. But anyway, so people need fights, so they're fighting. So there you go. We're going to go now to the next guest, which is Aljamain Sterling. Okay, like I said before, UFC Bantamweight, absolute savage. In fact, we're not going to waste time. We're just going to stick him straight on. Okay, Mr. Sterling, thank you very much for joining us on this day. Now, you're having your medicals done to prep for Johnny Eduardo. I assume everything's going well?
Yeah, they actually told me they're going to have to amputate one of my arms before this fight.
Hey, if Nick Newell can do it, anyone can. And also, you'll have a big. That's what, it'll help your weight cut as well.
What's that?
My weight cut's going well right now. I mean, I still eat a lot of candy from time to time, mostly chocolates, but it's going well. Getting lean and mean.
Must be going well if you're eating chocolate.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Sterling,
I'm a big chocolate guy. I get these weird cravings, man. It's weird.
Hey, everyone, I get cravings too.
I was gonna say I get cravings, and I'm not weight cutting.
Now, you are a man who's in the spotlight, I think, because you are in that kind of just short of this kind of title shot. You're just on the outskirts. You're a win or two away. So your name is being kind of mentioned a lot. I think it should be mentioned more than it is. There are guys in the top rankings who actually, I think, you might go up without even fighting anyway. If you think about Uriah Faber, I don't know how much longer he's going to have in fights. I think he's more going for he's going to try and, after his next fight, he's probably going to try and pick the more entertaining fights. Maybe he might go to 145. And I've also, Barao, he's going up to 145, rumoured as well. So do you feel, with a win over Eduardo, you might potentially already be in that mix just from that one fight?
Yeah, I do think so. But it just depends on how the UFC wants to play their cards. I know they got another top prospect in Almeida who just came off a huge knockout. But he's not beating anyone of too big of a name, in my opinion. But he does look impressive, and I think it just depends on who they want to give that opportunity to. So, who knows, man? Maybe after this fight, granted it goes well for me, I get the finish and I look good. They're probably going to pit us against each other, and whoever wins is probably going to get the next title shot. So I'm excited for whatever happens, but I do think I could potentially skip the line if Faber's not going to be the next guy to jump in and take that title shot against either TJ or Cruz.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm quite excited that McDonald's back as well.
Yeah, that was recently announced, and he's an all-action sort of guy.
It's great that he's back in that mix, and also Freddie Assunção, you've got, get him back fit. It does help kind of add the excitement for the fight fans, and also I think for yourself having, the kind of challenge there ahead of you. You've got some great fighters ahead of you to take on if this isn't if the title shot isn't to happen.
Yeah, I actually just saw that he was back today fighting Kanehara, I think.
Yeah.
So that should be a good fight, but see how he does, after that long layoff and just, his hands being all mangled up for so long. So, hopefully he still comes back the same person that he was before he left.
Yeah, it's there's something that does puzzle me. Now, I'm going to be in Vegas for your next fight. I've got to make sure I get there nice and early for it, because you're early on the card.
Oh, you're coming up?
Yeah, Mike's coming across. Mike's flying over from the UK. He's going to all three of the cards on that weekend, so to speak.
What can I say? I'm greedy. yeah. So I'll be there for it, and I'm looking forward to the whole week's going to be amazing. I can't remember the last time UFC put on something like this, but I am puzzled why they put you on so early. Do you feel a bit puzzled as well?
Yeah, I'm actually very, very confused. You would think us being the highest ranked people on the card that we would have a little bit more of a, I don't even know what you would call it.
Exposure.
More respect? I don't know. I don't know the proper word for that. For the lack of better terms, I'm going to say respect.
I think a lot of people want to see us fight. You know, I guess it is okay since we're in the middle that a lot more people are going to come in to watch us and probably go out and go get some more beers before they come back and watch the rest of the card. So,
I hate that.
The only thing I thought about, the only reason I thought you were on this low on the card is simply because I think the UFC, they tried to offer Miesha Tate as well at a Fight Pass event, I think it was recently. She said she declined. I think what they're trying to do is get some of their bigger potentially. This is just a random guess. This probably is nothing why they're doing it. Is maybe trying to get maybe their bigger stars on, for example, the prelims or the Fight Pass to try and help build up the exposure of those, because maybe the prelims they want to get the numbers up, get the interest on the prelims, so people might stick earlier in the night, exactly, to try and maybe stick, so people stick out the card.
Figures, you know, on
yeah,
longer,
so if they stick you as like say a co-main event, people might not tune into the co-main event. Well, they want people at the start of the card to tune in, not just in the stadium, but or the just maybe online or wherever they're watching. That's just a random. I'm just pitching it out there.
I'm puzzled.
Yeah, I'm puzzled too. You know, you are kind of a main card guy. The style of fighting that you bring, the wins that you've had recently as well. It's
fortunately for me, I'm always early.
You are, yeah.
I'm always early.
From the first, we always go from the first fight, don't we?
I'm like, there's me and some guy spraying the canvas, and that's it. But so I won't be missing it. But yeah, I am puzzled, and I think there should be more exposure put on yourself.
Yeah, it is what it is at this point. I can sit here and keep trying to figure out what the reasonings are. The only thing I can say is, after I complained, I was, supposed to be on a Fox card, the last Fox card of the year, which was the last card of the year, and I just don't understand how I start complaining, and then I didn't even complain about not getting a fight. I complained about guys turning down fights with me. So that was my complaint, and just not being able to make money because all these guys keep turning on the fight. And then I kind of get short end of the stick, like, okay, well, here's your fight, now you're on Fight Pass. Where I'm just like, well, it's not like I was, saying that in a way where I was attacking you guys. I was just saying, these fighters need to step up and fight. That's what you're supposed to do. Step up and take a goddamn fight.
Yeah,
so, I don't know if that's the only thing I think that makes sense, and maybe that's what it was, but, I can just only sit here and speculate, and they're going to always say, it wasn't this, it was that, or... So it's whatever, man. At the end of the day, it's their business. They're going to do whatever the hell they want to do, We just got to go out there and just got to put on a good show so that we can kind of get the ball in our court a little bit.
Yeah, I do get the feel that the UFC don't like it when, and you don't have to agree with me on this one, but I'll just say it myself, when the UFC, they don't seem to like anyone that complains about anything in any sort of way or fashion. They always want people to be sort of pro everything, shall we say. It's like clearly, I mean, everyone knows that just about everyone doesn't like the Reebok deal, pretty much, and yet they still don't like it when anyone moans about it.
Yeah.
Well, it's obvious, the figures aren't lying.
Yes.
Yeah. And if somebody asks a simple question, are you happy with the Reebok deal? And you
shouldn't be scared to say an honest answer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's almost like you've got gaffer tape on you. It's
because you're scared of what repercussions that could happen.
So it seems like so even the most clear, obvious times where people aren't happy, it seems like the UFC don't like it. They want everyone to be like saying, "Oh yes, everything's great, everything's golden."
Well, if we did that, then the UFC would have no personality. Everybody would be the same. It would kind of be the same old repetitive thing over and over and over. Everyone's saying the same thing. Everyone agreeing to the same thing. Oh, this is great. This is dandy. Oh, I love this and I love that. But reality is, we all have different perceptions of things, different things we like, and I think that's what makes the sport great. We all have different opinions, and I think when you take away the individuality of it, when you uniform us pretty much in a kit, as they call it, I think we lose a lot of that individuality, and I think they try to say they made the kit so that we could be more individualized, but I'm like, I don't see how that makes any sense just based on the look of every single thing. Everything is the same. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, it is peculiar.
Well,
it is.
I used to love the something as simple as the shorts. Like, you know what I mean? There was something I used to like about the shorts. You'd say like just I love, like for instance, I love Frankie Edgar's shorts. I thought they were awesome. for an example, and I actually went out and bought a pair of these shorts. Like,
They didn't fit
know.
Mike, but he'll.
well, no, they weren't actually like his shorts, and I was a bit smaller back then, shall we say? But do you know what? Yeah, just the design, the Venom shorts, like, and things like that, and that individuality, sort of that personality, like you were saying. I literally was going to come in with the uniform thing, and before you said it yourself, and. Yeah, I think they are taking away that individuality that's sort of there. You know what I mean? It's
So the only way you can get your own individual kind of personality.
I've got a help job with this one. Individuality.
That's the one. Fucking hell, spitting. I can't say them big words.
I feel like a ventriloquist at the moment. I'm doing really well at the moment. I am. So I didn't even move my mouth at all.
You didn't move your mouth once. So I think the only way that people can do it is with their voice. It seems now, that's and
and then you end up second on the card or whatever.
Yeah,
so good move. But, oh dear.
But I have to say though, the matchup, you must actually, if you think about if you look at the rankings, if you take rankings aside, it's actually a really good matchup for you because you've got a guy who's got a hell of a lot of experience. So getting an impressive win on him I think it's actually probably one of the better picks to have on the card.
Really good favour in the card.
I know, obviously, you were trying to get match up with, for example, you were trying to get Caraway, and you were calling out a load of guys just to get the matchups. And I think I think Eduardo's a better pick than Caraway, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, Eduardo's a much tougher fighter. For me, I want to fight Caraway because I thought it would be a fun stylistic matchup in terms of two grapplers, high pace, scrambling for position, and I think I come out on top at the end of the day regardless, but I just think it's a fun matchup, It's just one of those fights where I think he poses some different threats, where he's very good at taking it back, he's very good at fish hooking people, as he did to Eric Perez.
Yeah.
But he's got some killer techniques where he just covers your mouth and fish hooks you to death and yanks on you. So I think that I'm kidding, by the way. I just thought that would have been a good matchup for me. And Eduardo, like you said, man, he's been around the block, man. I'm no fool. I know his talents. I know his skill set. I know what he possesses. I know what he brings to the table. And just at the end of the day, I think he's a lot older. I think I'm a lot hungrier. And I think I just want him more at this point. And I just can't see this guy beating me. The only way this guy even has a chance of even coming close to beating me is me standing there in front of him and giving him a stationary target to just wind up and take a home run swing at. And I don't fight like that, one. I fight more with my head, and it's just gonna be. I think it's just my fight to lose. So I think this is a great matchup for me. He's gonna be able to put me up there. He's a no boot now coach for Muay Thai and stuff like that. So for me to beat a guy like that, I think it's huge for my career, and it's huge for just my legacy when I'm all said and done.
I think the finish of Mizugatti was a huge one. For me watching that fight and the result itself, I thought that kind of. Sent sound waves in the division. I thought that was a huge one that you got. And what that's like you say, you were having trouble getting matchups. And I was sitting there thinking, he's just finished Mizugatti. Why on earth is he not being matched up to kind of push you a bit further? And that frustrated me. I was thinking, are they maybe looking to maybe delay the likes of yourself because they want TJ Dillashaw and Dominic Cruz and the Barral fights. They wanted to get them out of the way. Were they? And that's what I was thinking. Maybe they were trying to delay and hold you guys back because they're looking at yourself and other fighters in 2016, and they know that maybe they could try and squeeze out these other guys before then.
Oh yeah, 100%. But also, I think for me, that fight with Mizugaki, it was a good fight. But even for me, even though I dominated him, I didn't get to do half the things that I wanted to do, which I know I was able to do. Just going in that fight a little banged up. I know everyone goes in there banged up a little bit, but I went in there with a little bit more of some bumps and bruises, and I got it through it, and I got the win. But I think just some of the stuff I did, maybe like the being on the cage a little too long and stuff like that, probably didn't look too appealing to some of the fans and I guess some of the UFC brass. But I'm like, man, it's not like I'm not trying to finish this guy. I take a guy down, I get on his back, and he can't do anything to get out. What do you expect me to do?
Yeah.
Let him go? It's like, okay, but let's try this again and try to make this more exciting. I'm like, if it's that easy for me to get your back, I don't know. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do at that point.
Yeah, it's
some parts. That's the thing. Some fight fans, I say fight fans. I rephrase that. Some people who watch MMA won't understand how difficult certain situations are. They think if you're up against the cage holding the guy, they wonder why you're not doing anything. And the thing is, they don't realise that's probably the hardest part in the whole match is when you're up against a cage with someone. It's, you know, your arms just are literally feel like a dead weight afterwards. You know, I compete as well here in the UK, and I know exactly what kind of particulars you're talking about in certain situations. You get it even in when you sparring days and stuff. When some guys you just can't, you know, get what you need to get done because of their style, the way they're trying to stop you from becoming yourself and expressing yourself in the fight. So it is frustrating, and that's why it's such a big. I think it was such a big win because he was kind of stopping you from maybe doing what you wanted to do, but you got the finish, and that I think that's what. If you look at it from that perspective, that's what's more impressive. It was actually a harder finish to get than it actually was, than it looked.
Yeah. You fight in the UK, you said? You've had a few fights?
Yeah, I compete in the UK, yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's why I can relate to fighters when they talk about weight cuts or fighting and, you know, and training and stuff like that, and injuries and bumps and all sorts of things. I think it, you know, when you talk about it, I kind of, you know, it touches me a bit more because I kind of understand where you're coming from.
That's what I'm saying. We got a little bit more of an understanding of what's going on, man. I try to explain to people when I end up in those clinches on the cage, it's not like I want to stay there, but at certain points when you're in the clinch where if you don't commit all the way, you're going to end up getting hit with a nice elbow and get a nice little gash on your face, or a nice knee that could potentially put you down or break some ribs. So once you're in there, it's almost like you're committed to this position. You got to battle out until the ref stops the fight, or not stop the fight, but break you guys up.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of a lot of what happened in the last fight where I was going for a takedown where Mizukaki did a good job stopping the takedown initially, and then we're on the cage and we're jockeying for position. Well, I think the ref should have stopped that and break that up a long time ago so we could reset and make the fight a little bit more exciting, I guess. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to change up my style to try to sit there in a pocket and have a barn burner. It's just kind of silly to me.
Yeah, it is. And the worry is, you've got to think, I think about a fight of the Alan Jabon and the Walsh fight where Jabon got that elbow because they kind of, like you say, they were against the cage, the clinch. Jabon had the clinch, he had an underhook and overhook, and then all he did was follow the arm of Walsh, came over the elbow and finished him, and that's how. That was a beautiful elbow. I have to admit, it made me have a little sex wee. But that's the importance of keeping hold of that clinch. You know, you let go, and there's one chance, one shot, and that ends a fight.
But also, how many people have thrown a fight because they've tried to make it that little bit more exciting
for the
at
fans.
that moment when maybe they shouldn't, you know.
You've got to forget the fans and think about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's you know, but
it's your face and brain at the end of the day.
Well, you know, it's. I mean,
it is huge.
You can't always fight to the crowd.
No, and you've got to listen to what your coach is saying. If you know, you got Ray Longo, Matt Serra in your corner. If they're telling you what to do, you stick to their game plan, and I'm sure they give you the right. When you're up against the cage, or you're on the ground, or you're standing. I'm sure their instructions are literally to a T, and they work out right for you because it's worked so far.
Yeah, 100%. If you watch that fight again and you listen to the audio, you can hear there's a point where I'm talking to Matt Serra in the match, and I'm just like, I'm telling him like I'm trying to do what I can do because I'm trying to get the mount. He's telling me to go for mount. I know the mount is there. I'm trying to get it. He's holding my wrist. He's not letting me come up, and every time I do come up, he spins and rolls through. So then, for me to come up to mount is impossible. I'm going to just end up on his back like a Jansport and just keep rolling around. Now we're playing roly-poly on the ground. But that's him being tough and being a veteran and understanding the position and doing his training and doing his homework. And that's me still trying to be tough and try to get the position so I was trying to mount the guy and put a beating on him. That's what I like to do. I like to get on top, flatten the guy out, beat him down. If I can't do that, I take the back and I choke the guy out. Most of my finishes are rear naked chokes. I couldn't get the rear naked choke, and I ended up getting another submission, which hasn't been done, I think, since 1999. So, I feel like I'm on the right track. I'm doing the right things. I'm getting better every single fight. So there's nothing for me to complain about. I just wish some people could just have a little bit more understanding of what was actually going on instead of just being the casual just bleed fans. Yeah,
exactly. The sofa fans, and you get it with all sports, really. You know, you get it from NFL to NBA, all sports, all anything. They're just. You got to kind of deal. You kind of just got to forget them and ignore them and understand the people that can even talk to you about the fight and break it down a bit more. They're the ones you appreciate more. I mentioned Ray Longo and Matt Serra. We spoke to a friend of ours called Will Martin. He had the pleasure of meeting them in New York a couple of years back, and he was saying to us that he wanted to kind of ask you this question because I was speaking to him, you see, and he spoke to them a couple of years back, and he said, "Who's your next guy? Who's the next big guy who's going to make a splash?" And they even said, Ray and Matt, they said, "Watch out for this guy. He's going to make a splash." What kind of his question was, how much of an influence do those guys have on you and in your career, and the kind of the way you are now, and how much of an effect do these guys have?
It's huge for me, just to have a staff like that. I feel like I'm blessed to have something where I get the best of both worlds. I get a striking guru in Ray Longo, and I get a freaking magician on the ground in Matt Serra who could destroy limbs in a heartbeat. And I think it's just something where I'm fortunate to have that, and I think it's definitely elevated my game. And I try to post clips of little things where I'm making improvements on where I've been criticized, and I do listen to the criticism because I'm open-minded. I believe just because you don't fight, you don't necessarily not know what you're talking about. You can still know what you're talking about and not do. And they say those who can teach will teach, and those who can do will do. So, like I said, I keep an open mind, and I listen to my coaches, and I just try to focus on the little things, the little fine details. Because the little fine details is what's going to make me better in the long run. And just doing the things that they tell me to do, pushing me day in and day out every time I'm in the gym, it's just trusting them. And I think that's the ultimate thing right there. We have trust within each other. I trust my coaches, they trust me, and I think that's what helps a fighter be even better. When you have that bond where they tell you something, you're going to go out there and you're going to do it.
Yeah, you're right. You do have to listen to them. It's huge. It makes a huge difference. And I think that, like you say, that you have got two kind of great kind of examples of coaches where they complement each other because of their different skill sets, and obviously the guys around you make a big difference.
Though, how much of a unit is Matt Serra now?
Matt Serra is a tank of a man, isn't he? When we met him, he's
like a
tank.
Rubik's Cube. He's as wide as he is tall, isn't he?
No, he's funny as hell. That guy,
yeah.
That guy's riot.
Oh yeah, he's great. Every time I meet him, I'm like,
I like speaking to him.
I love it.
They are great. We spoke to him when they
cool.
were. Yeah, I think I got a chance to speak to him. Yeah.
Now, a question for you, and I know you've probably answered this one about 60 million times now, probably 61 million times.
Yep.
The Floyd Mayweather story. Now, right, I'm probably not the only person that thinks Floyd Mayweather's a bit of a cock. Okay, right, don't get me wrong, the guy can box.
Well,
and for anyone that says he's boring, yes, I agree he's boring, but he is an awesome boxer.
Yeah.
He's still a cock. I don't like his personality. I don't like how he puts himself out there. And when I heard the story of what hopefully you'll recycle now for our listeners, I just loved it. I loved it. So is there any chance you can run through it now?
All right. So we get to the after party. Well, the day after party, we were at the Palms. Weidman gets like the section for everybody, a couple bottles, whatever. Weidman doesn't really drink. I don't think he really drinks at all anymore. So he gets the bottles for pretty much his teammates, his friends, family, whoever's there. So we're at the top of the mezzanine. Probably like 20 minutes later, we get there, and then Mayweather walks in with his Louis Vuitton towel, swagged out, his shades on, the money team hat and everything. So he goes to this section by a DJ booth. Mind you, there's like this small section, there's probably like 30 or 40 guys over there in just that one corner. I'm like, yo, I see like no females, one, and just a bunch of dudes in a corner. But whatever, that's another story. So my girl, we pretty much all of us, we watch him come in, it's like, oh, that's Money Mayweather. We go over, we watch him come in, cool. We walk away. And my girl, she's still over there with her friend, one of my teammates' girlfriend also. So they're hanging out on the balcony, just looking over, and I guess he points at her, and is like waving her to come down. I guess she gets a little flattered or whatever. Okay, cool, Money, Mayweather is waving at me, telling me to come down. I guess any girl would probably be like, oh my God, me, oh my God, really? So whatever, cool. So
she walks over, she tells me, and then next thing you know, he sends over a guy. The guy comes over, he's like, yeah, he wants the girl to come over. I asked him which girl he's talking about. My girlfriend walks over, and he was like, her. And I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen. I was like, that's my girlfriend, bro. So, I was like, you can tell Mayweather I'm a fan of what he does, but he's undefeated in boxing, and I'm undefeated in MMA. So if he wants to find out what's better today, boxing or MMA, we can find out. So that happens. He goes over. I told him to just make sure you send a message for me, please. But I was like, I know you're not going to tell him. I'm a little under the influence at this point. I tell him, like, I know you're not going to tell him. You're just not. But I'm going to tell you to tell him anyway. So he goes over. He leaves. Probably about another half hour later, maybe 45 minutes. Weidman goes over there with Vellante. They're talking and everything. And I don't know, for some reason, my girl, somehow, when she's walking by, she ends up stopping by the balcony again, talking to her friend. And Weidman's down there. And then I guess Weidman was saying, like, mid-conversation, he stops and he looks up and he points to another girl. And the girl happens to, again, be my girl. So he's, like, waving her to come down again. And Chris is over there. He's like, he didn't say anything. I don't know if he told him. I think he might have told him, like, hey, man, that's my boy's girl. But either way, that didn't matter to him because he still sent over another girl. He sent over a girl this time to come and bring us over there. And I was like, listen, I know how this works. If I go over there, she's telling us both to come at this point. I was like, no, I'm good. I was like, I'm cool. I like the guy, but I'm not a fanboy. I was like, I can, sit over here and, see him over there and, wave. That's cool enough for me. I'm good. And then she was like, no, just both come over there, please, and whatever. She's telling us to come over. I'm like, nah, I'm all right. She's like, all right, just come down by the steps. I was like, I know what happened. We go down by the steps. He tries to tell my girl to come up there, and then I try to go up there. Then I get stopped, and then it's gonna turn to a brawl. I'm not gonna have that because I'm not gonna get shitted on in front of everybody, and it's gonna be a big scene, and someone's gonna get hurt. It's probably gonna be me, but I'm gonna take somebody out with me. So I was like, let's not have any of that happen. You guys got like a bunch of guys with you. I don't give a shit how many of us are over here. I think it was only like 3 of us at the time. 3 guys. Me, Vellante, and I think one other person who wasn't even a fighter. But I was like, I'm willing to fucking go to war right now. So this guy better fucking cut the shit because, hey, it's not even the fact that I'm defending my girlfriend like that because she's a good girl. It's the fact that he keeps sending people over after I told him his minions to tell him what it was already, and they didn't do it. So they didn't respect me. So now I'm telling them what's going to happen if they don't, chill out. So I pretty much tell them the same thing. Like, you can go tell him he's undefeated in boxing. I'm undefeated in MMA. If you'd like to find out what's better today, MMA or boxing, we can do that. And then, so that was pretty much the end of the story. He goes over there. She goes back over there, and I guess she stopped waving her over, and they eventually left. But I had a game plan set, man. I was like, yo, if these guys come over here and try to start some shit, they got to come up these narrow-ass staircase. I'm going to throw something down there, stop some of them, drop kick one of them down the stairs, and then fucking just take them out one by one. But it would have ended up ugly, but whatever. I was down to go out on my shield. I was going to go out on my shield that day.
Do you know what? The story of what happened is enough. Do you know what I mean? That's enough in its own right because, you stood your ground against probably the most disliked guy on the planet.
Outside of sport,
people that have touched kids and things like that, you know what I mean? All right.
And Hitler,
okay,
maybe.
Yeah. Hitler's probably a bit further down. He's still but we'll give him that one. Like,
I tell you what. Do you know what? It shows though how he A, like and respect, and B, he just doesn't. He doesn't think of others. He doesn't think of others. He thinks of himself. It's a shame.
He doesn't realise where everyone comes from, and what? And one day you are going to have someone that's going to turn around and say no.
Yeah, and
the answer's no.
Well, the thing is, like I say, he picked the wrong fight with the wrong person. I think you know what, you take him down, or even leg kick would just end his.
I was going to say because you know what. I don't care what he has done. I know he's probably never, ever been leg kicked. Ever. Even if he's done a day of jiu-jitsu, you don't get leg kicked doing that. And once you've been leg kicked once or twice, you turn around and say...
Your world crumbles.
I don't kind of like that so much, Because that's never going to knock me out.
No, it's not.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like I can wake up and it's all good, And
because I was thinking, do you know what? You talked about before how you weren't getting the matches and you were thinking about taking a break. You were thinking about taking a break from MMA because... it is. You need to pay. Everyone needs to pay bills. And I thought, hey, he's got a potential boxing career if he thought about it.
Well, yeah, we like at dancing. Can you dance for 36 minutes?
All that money to dance. All that money to dance around.
I know. I would wear a tutu and do it, and I would do it for 36 minutes.
Oh dear.
I'd have tassels and sparkles and everything.
And then because it'll be your only one, you just leg kick him at the end. Just watch him limp around. Sorry, you're disqualified. I don't give a shit.
It's all good.
Oh dear. Yeah.
No, but do you know what? I'm so happy that the UFC finally got you matched up, and I think you know what, 2006. You know, you can go in against Eduardo. 2016. I think we're finally going to see, you know, the Sterling talked about more. I think people are going to start to take more notes of you, and it's what we need. But
I'll be cheering you on. I know that much.
It's nothing against Johnny Eduardo. Yeah. I'm a Sterling fan, man. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. You know, I've been keeping an eye on your career, and it's great to have you on here. But we just before we let you go off, and you know, we know you've got a day ahead of yourself, and you're a busy man. But we'd like to have a little game, like we said. We'd like to do the klaxon with you. Last 10 seconds, the most important part of the round.
This would be the bit where you'd leg kick Mayweather.
Yeah, this is the part where you think to yourself, I've got to impress the judges to win the round. Okay, so let's see. We'll start off with the questions and see how you do. Okay, so are you ready for this?
All right, let's get it.
Okay, we'll start off gentle and we'll build it up. Okay, Twitter or Instagram? Twitter, okay. Sausage or bacon?
Bacon.
Mayweather or Caraway?
Caraway.
Okay. Main card in Vegas or prelim in New York?
Main card in Vegas.
Okay. New York Jets or New York Giants?
New York Giants.
Okay. Boobs or bum?
You said boobs or what?
Bum. Bottom.
Ass. Booty.
Oh, booze.
Okay.
Booze. Wait, is that booze or?
Yeah, no, titties.
Tits or ass?
Titties or booty.
Oh, I'm an ass man.
Right.
Okay. Leg day or burpees?
Leg day.
Okay. Nike or Adidas?
Nikes.
Okay. Iaquinta or Volante?
Iaquinta.
Okay, and last one, Sarah or Longo?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know if I can pick that.
Because you know what will happen in training.
What day is it tomorrow?
Okay,
I can't pick.
we'll call that a draw then.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we do get people with them. We do like to put them.
Well, we even got
them.
Bruce Buffer with one, didn't we?
Yeah, we get Bruce Buffer as well with them as well. So, before you shoot off, we'd like to ask you: we know you have them, but can you give people at home your social media stuff? So, like your Twitters, Instagram, Facebooks, whatever you've got, so people can jump on as well and join your epic journey to the UFC title.
You can find me on Instagram and the Twitter at Funkmaster_UFC, and you can follow my website www.aljamainsterling.com. I just put up some new shirts, the Human Anaconda and Funk University tees, lifestyle t-shirts. They're actually pretty cool. Not the corny shit that a lot of other people sell, but some good quality stuff. And big shout out to my sponsors, Nutrition Supplements. And December 10th, we're going to come by and we're getting the December takeover, baby. Me and Chris Weidman back to back. Let's get it.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a hell of a week. It's going to be a hell of a time for us. And what do you want to give a shout out, like you say, Chris Weidman? Do you want to give a shout out to your training partners and your team and your coaches, even your friends, family, and your girlfriend?
Wait, I'm supposed to shout them out?
Yeah, no, just just the gym.
Anyone you want to thank, you know.
Yeah, anyone you want to thank.
Of course, I thank everybody. I thank my training partners, all my training partners, Sarah Longo family. Everybody plays a big part. Everybody, if it was one piece of the puzzle, it helps make the whole picture. So, the whole Sarah Longo family and my family and friends that help support me and come out to my fights.
And I will vouch for you on the t-shirts. I have saw them online today. I saw a picture of you posting them. They are very well priced as well. They're not $99 like some certain brand of jerseys for certain fighters.
Nike or Adidas here,
no, we're not. But they're buyable, folks, is what I'm trying to say. And also, before you go, thank you for joining us, and thank you for talking and letting everyone else hear some of your stories and what's going to be happening with you. Before you shoot off, can you just stay on the line and we will chat to you offline? But obviously, this has been an absolute pleasure for us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
That was Aljamain there for us.
Yeah, I'm. When I realised he was on the card as one of the fights I'm going to, I was over the moon. Can't understand. I've said this again and again and again. I can't understand why is he on so early. He's entertainment, he's skills, and I see him challenging for the title at some point.
He is an absolute killer. I hope that he gets the fights that he needs to get that title shot. We're going to go now to UFC 193, which is down in Australia. Yes, a pay-per-view card in Australia. They're going to go in the Etihad State. Is it Etihad
Yeah,
Stadium
they're going
or
to try and
Etihad
break the
Centre?
UFC record books.
Now, if you're going to do that, I think you should put on a good card. But they haven't. Now, let's say the Toronto card that they had, they broke the records with George St. Pierre and Jake Shields, wasn't it? The main event, wasn't it? That was the 55,000 one, that wasn't it? And that was Jose Aldo and Mark Hominick as the co-main event. Off the top of my head, yeah. But that was that fight itself was, those two fights alone,
Pretty mental.
they're pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, what I do like is, I tell you what, let's go back in time a couple of years. Okay, no women fighting in the UFC. Dana White saying it was never going to happen, blah, blah, blah. It's come full circle. He's now trying to break the attendance record, and he's doing it with, for the first time, both girls, both champions from women's MMA in the UFC defending their titles and basically leading the show, and hats off to them. It's women's MMA is now, it's, as I said, it's come full circle, and I'm really pleased to see it. And you've got two champions that are, well, in my eyes, they look pretty unbeatable. They can hold up, and they're exciting to watch.
They are, but the issue you've got is, like I say, regardless of the women's, take away the co-main event and the main event.
Yeah, which is legit, and I would pay to watch.
Here we go. We'll go back to the PS Shields card. Now, the undercard on this card coming up is, I've got to be brutally honest, there's one fight I'm looking forward to, is Jake Matthews, okay? And he's fighting at Arbrello. Now, I look forward to it because I love Jake. I think Jake Matthews got a lot of potential. He got injured and he couldn't do the Scotland card, which I was a bit naffed off
Yeah, we've
about.
been going about that one.
I was a bit naffed off. I did let him know that. I said, you owe me. I said, give me tickets to Australia. But the rest of the card on the prelims, you got Anthony Perosh against Gian Vellante. There's not really any fights on that card, particularly on the card, that stick out too much. Here you go. This is the PS Shields one. Now, albeit these guys have gone back a little bit, but you had Nate Diaz versus Roy McDonald.
Yeah.
You had
Crazy.
You had Sean Pearson versus Jake Ellenberger. You've got Ivan Menjivar against Charlie Valencia. It's just some of the names that are sticking out there. Jason McDonald versus Ryan Jensen. Jason McDonald's a cracking fight to watch. John Medeski against Kyle Watson. E. Jabon against Pablo Garza. Claude Patrick against Daniel Roberts. Now, not every name there will stick in your head, but there's a handful of names that do stick in your head. Just on the prelims. These are prelims, okay? So, hell yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so what we'll do is we're gonna go through the main card of UFC 93, but then we're gonna just we're gonna look back at the PS Shields main card as well, and we'll go up through the fights, okay? So you have Stefan Struve versus Gerard Rosholt, okay? Now, before you go any further, the fight on the equivalent on that card was Mark Bocek against Ben Henderson.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bocek was known in the UFC at the time for being an absolute monster, but Ben Henderson had the hype of WEC, and everyone knew how good he was. So that's that fight. So okay, so we've got Stefan Struve, Gerald Rosholt.
which is It's an alright fight, you know, but
Okay.
it's an alright fight.
It's an okay fight, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say Stefan
You know,
Struve.
yeah, you'd be happy if you were going to a fight night and he was on there.
So, okay, let's talk about the fight anyway.
Yeah.
Stefan Struve, he got a lifesaver by taking on Big Nog at the last, at the end of
He got
his
to put a
tether.
super name on his...
But he needed to get that win because of he was on 2 losses. And he got what he needed.
And to be honest with you, he's been having trouble with anxiety.
Yeah.
So, okay, I don't know the full... I mean, obviously, you're allowed some privacy in the world. You know what I mean? And
But
I'm not going to go too deep. But I don't know if it's like...
But I think he's landed on his feet with this matchup with Gerard Rochelle in the sense of Rochelle isn't going to go in there and stand and bang with you. There's only one thing Rochelle does, and he grabs you and gets you to the ground.
Yeah, he's going to try and grind.
He's going to TKO you because he grinds you out, and that's how he wins. That's how he tries to win his fights. He's on a 2-fight win streak. You know, kudos to him.
If and Stefan Struve standing at 7 foot tall, double leg.
He's a wrestler's dream.
And also, we kind of spoke earlier about fighters using distance on in one of our interviews. Struve doesn't always use his distance.
He doesn't know, but I do feel that Struve will win.
He likes to mix.
I think Struve will win this one.
I think he will.
Now, why do you think Struve will win?
I've seen him in some fights, and he can be murderous. He's tough. You know, he was. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's not the most durable fighter, but he's definitely one of the.
I was going to say he's not that tough because he's been finished
no,
6 times.
Hang on,
or something.
no, not durable,
Knocked
but
out.
he is tough. He doesn't quit.
Right.
When he loses, he gets KO'd.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't quit. What I mean is, you get some people.
They have a
They'll
choice to
quit.
quit.
They'll look for a way out. Stefan Struve does not look for a way out.
Right.
He hangs in there until his chin goes on him.
Right. Okay.
That's what I mean. He's tough. Not most durable, but definitely tough. Rochelle, I don't think he's not setting the world on fire.
He's 5-1 in the UFC, so he's not exactly doing much
Yeah,
wrong.
okay. But what did he do to get there?
Now, he's, like I say, the reason why I think Stefan Struve will win the fight, from my perspective, is standing striking. There's only one winner, and it's Stefan Struve. Not because of the reach, he's just a better striker than Gerard Rochelle. Now, with Rochelle, like you said, if he can close distance, it's his game. Well, the problem is, when you go into the game with Stefan Struve, he's got a far better grappling submission game than Gerard Rochelle has. Rochelle will have the wrestling, albeit Struve will not have a chance when it comes to the wrestling side of things. But when it comes to the grappling submission game, you've got to deal with Stefan Struve, and he's a nightmare for it. He's got better legs for the triangles. He's got he can get the guillotines, the armbar. He can do it all because he's got that long dexterity, and I think that's where Gerard Rochelle hasn't competed against someone who will put him in that circumstance. And I think activity from Stefan Struve on the ground will really put Gerard Rochelle in an uncomfortable position, and that's why I feel Struve will win that fight.
And also, just to give you an idea on the striking, Stefan Struve handed a certain Stipe Miocic a KO.
Yeah.
He knocked him out.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be K-side for that one, and yeah, I didn't expect Stefan Struve to win that, but he won it, and he won it well.
Next up, we're going to go to Uriah Hall, who stepped in, because it was meant to be Michael Bisping.
Yes, yeah.
Uriah Hall versus Robert Whittaker. Now, the equivalent to that one is Vladimir Matyushenko versus Jason Brills. When you look at the card, okay? So, you might say Uriah Hall Whittaker might win that one. Might win.
I said, yeah, I've gone for Uriah Hall.
So you went for Uriah Hall. Okay, Uriah Hall. Okay, I went for Uriah Hall as well. Yeah, I've got to go. Yeah, I went for Uriah. Even though he's, what made you go for Uriah over
Uriah
Mr.
Hall.
Whittaker?
Because if Uriah Hall can get everything ticking in the right direction, he has potential to. I'm not saying I don't think he has championship potential, because he's not. He will lose before he gets to that stage. Do you know what I mean? Because whatever's in there, like, I don't know if it's a confidence sort of lack of self-confidence or what. Maybe needs one of our mind coaches that are floating around. But when he can get it together, he's quite formidable. And
right. Okay. Well, so Robert Whittaker came back up to the middleweight division from the welterweight division. Okay. Now, his biggest note coming back in the middleweight was the win over Tavares, okay, where he smoked Tavares in the first round. Like, kudos. That was a beautiful win. Great credit there. Uriah Hall as well. I have picked Uriah Hall, but Uriah Hall, his only win of note is... I know he beat Chris Lieben, but Chris Lieben was at the end of, again, his career.
Yes,
it was a different Chris Lieben.
It was quite sad actually to watch.
Just retiring.
Fortunate enough to be not quite cage side,
So,
but yeah, like that. And,
so Gegard Mousasi is his only win, like his biggest win of note for Uriah Hall. Like,
and he
that's
had to
his biggest
survive a horror round as well.
Now, the reason why I picked Uriah Hall is Whittaker's style of fighting. He's a very karate based, okay? So he likes to spring in, almost like Machida-esque style. He comes in with that power. The problem you've got for Whittaker is that style will suit the man who opposite him, Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall likes time. He doesn't like pressure. He likes time to be able to pick his shots and think about his shots a bit more and put his shots into place. Because when he puts the shots in place, he puts power in them. And I think this is where Whittaker might find himself come unstuck. I think if he fights in a style that... If he wants to do a stand-up strike and stand-up battle, I think he'll have a nightmare. But if he's smart and uses his style correctly, like he can grapple really well, Whittaker. I think he could, if he can close that gap and get that down, I think that's where he can have Uriah Hall's number. But it all comes down to that striking game. I really do.
And which Uriah turns up.
Well, I just feel that if Uriah gets the right. If Whittaker gives him the time, I think Uriah Hall just turns up anyway. So I think it's literally.
I mean, there's been times where I
battle.
think to myself, I think Uriah Hall's overthinking stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like he's going over his plan in his head or something, and it's just, tick tock, like. But yeah, when he's on, he's on.
Next up, Mr. Mark Hunt is fighting Bigfoot Antonio Silva. I'll give you the equivalent first to the other card, Randy Couture, Lyoto Machida.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know who wins that one. But so you have Mark Hunt versus Bigfoot. Okay. I've picked Mark Hunt.
I have as well.
Okay.
Now, as far as comparing them against the two, okay, I can't see this being the same as the first.
Nowhere near. It's not going to be the same.
No.
No chance. You're not going to get that again.
But it still could potentially be exciting, and I think we could see a knockout for Mark Hunt. That's what I see. I see a knockout. With Bigfoot, I kind of worry about his durability now. He used to have durability as a weapon, and now it seems to be he's undoing.
Right. Well, Bigfoot Silva, he's had 8 fights in the UFC. How many has he won, Mike?
Not a lot.
Can you tell me how many?
Well,
he's had 8 fights. How many has he won?
Is it 3?
He's had 3 wins.
Yeah.
Can you name them?
He knocked out. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He's my favourite one. I actually like him.
No. I can't. Why can I not think of his name? You know who I'm thinking of, don't you?
Well, I know the answer, so I hope so.
He took an absolute beating and then came back, and my brains have left me.
Okay, Alistair Overeem.
Yeah. So there we go. Oh, right.
Ooh, we're testing it now. Here we go.
Yeah, you are.
Okay, folks. Well, this is golden radio when it's quiet. But anyway, we've seen the cogs ticking over on Mike. Travis Brown, who had 1 leg.
Yeah. He's
Travis
his
Brown.
hand went. Yeah.
So Travis Brown was probably winning the fight at the time.
Yeah.
Paley, who's just retired as well.
Yeah.
So there's 3 wins in the UFC. Every other time he comes up again, like he's lost to Kane twice.
Quite brutally as well.
Wow. You're fighting a guy in Mark Hunt who's really only losing to top tier guys.
Yeah.
As well. Of late. Now in the past, credit to that, he lost to Sean McCorville on like an armbar, but that was back then when he had very minimal grappling. It's a different kind of Mark Hunt now.
And also Mark Hunt is obviously he's taking life quite serious at the moment.
He's in awesome shape.
Yeah.
Awesome
now,
shape.
You might think to yourself, well, isn't everyone? No, Mark Hunt, don't get me wrong, always tough, always very, very game and engages. I mean, Christ, I don't know anyone that doesn't like Mark Hunt. But now he's trying to address his fitness.
His conditioning.
So for anyone in the heavyweight
awesome.
division, you've got to think to yourself, ooh.
It's almost like him and Josh Barnett, like their physiques have changed. recently they've put a lot of effort in their conditioning to get themselves in a different.
And you know what? Hats
physique.
off to do it in so late in their career as well.
But you know what? They've realised they need to prolong their career because you know, and Bonnet, it worked for him, and do you know what? I see it working for Mark.
I think
Hunt.
it won the fight for him.
I think it worked for Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt is going to be lighter on his feet. I know it sounds.
And this guy could already strike well.
Like, you're thinking, I'm maybe joking, but he will be light on his feet. He used to cut down from 320 pounds, you know, to make
scrape
265.
into 265.
So guys, I'm serious. He's got.
Having said that, so does Bigfoot.
He doesn't cut from 320.
No. He does cut down.
He cuts down from like 280 or something. But I really do. You're going to see a different Mark Hunt, and I think because the problem is, Bigfoot Silver can hit, but Mark Hunt can really hit, and I think Mark Hunt's got a lot more better direct striking. It's a lot cleaner, a lot crisper.
Also, I just want to remind when Bigfoot had to come off the testosterone. Now, I'm not going to slate him for this because
he needs it for medical reasons.
Bigfoot,
actual legit.
Like, if anyone's listened to me before, they know I hate drug cheats.
Come on,
yeah, Bigfoot. Yeah, okay, he needs it. So I feel quite sorry for the guy. He in his first fight after no testosterone. He sent out the message that, hang on, this takes your chin away, because he got brutally KO'd to strikes that didn't look that formidable.
Orlovsky one,
yeah. It didn't. It seemed to come from not much. Now, don't get me wrong, Orlovsky does hit hard,
and you can get knocked down by
you can walk onto jabs and stuff like that.
But also, we don't know what happened in his training camps. We don't know if he'd been knocked in his training camps.
Well, you hear about people that get knocked out 2 weeks before, and
it's very common that. It's been, but a lot. It's not just him though. It's been other fighters that have been chinny since the TRT came off them.
So there's definitely something in that, you know. And
yeah, but it is your testosterone levels drop. It's as simple as that. If you have high testosterone levels, you want to take a hard punch.
Having said that, even if you've got a chin against Hunt, he can still knock you out. Look what he did to Roy Nelson.
Yeah, and we're going to go now to the co-main event, which is Joanna Jędrzejczyk against Valerie Le Tournoi. Okay, now.
I'm so pleased for JJ that she's got this co-main event status.
Yeah,
because she deserves it. Like
she does on those performances
and,
now.
I think in if you think of women's MMA, she's kind of in the shadow of Ronda Rousey, but she could stand alone. You know what I mean? She's
the thing is,
super exciting.
She's going to be in the shadow because if it wasn't for Ronda Rousey,
she wouldn't be fighting in the UFC.
It wouldn't be that global. It wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be the explosive.
You'd still be watching it on Invicta or whatever. Or,
yeah. So you've got the equivalent, by the way, was Mr. Jose Aldo against Mark Hominick. Now, if this fight coming up lives anything like that,
still holds up.
It's an amazing fight. Anyway,
Elephant Man.
Yeah. So, but then again, we both picked JJ for this. You know, and I know you've already picked Ronda Rousey for us. We both picked the favourites.
Yeah. No, I'm good for you.
The thing is, the favourites by
not really.
The favourites by a country mile. And when I say like, it's horrendous. Like it's. Not even close.
Yeah.
Now for me, I am a bit. I'm not happy about this. I won't lie. I'm not happy about these fights anyway. I'm not even that stoked about them. You know.
I mean, I'm really, really pleased for. I know they want to be classed as MMA, but let's be honest, it is female MMA. But don't get me wrong, we're a fan of female MMA.
Look,
and
what I'm trying to get across is Valerie for me. She's not a legit contender for the 115 belt. Firstly, she's never made 115.
The thing is, you've got to give her someone.
She's had 3 decision wins in the UFC, which doesn't spell out someone who's going to rock the world. She also has losses on her on a record. She lost actually to Claudia Cadella, but not on the UFC. This is back in a different promotion called Rec MMA. You know, she holds a loss to a girl who got a split decision loss to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who should be fighting JJ next. But it's one of them ones where they gave the title shot to Valerie, and
But they had to give it to someone, and she came off a good win.
She didn't. It was a decision win. Like, how can you have a good win?
But the girl was being touted as the possible next
Munoz
challenger.
Munoz,
and then she went in there and she nearly stopped her in the first round.
Yeah. The thing is, she was being touted,
well,
and I said,
what I'm saying is,
I think the hype again. The problem was she came in against JJ, and she beat Jojo, sorry, and she beat a Jojo who wasn't a good Jojo. And I said I said the hype train is not.
Yeah.
It's not plausible. It's not right.
She didn't beat the JoJo that we know.
No, and then she got on occasion called out.
Well, what I'm saying is get on Fight Pass, watch JoJo. We're talking about Joanne Calderwood here. Watch her Invicta fights. She is ferocious. What you've seen in the UFC of Joanne Calderwood
Is not
the Joanne Calderwood that exists. She is formidable, and watch for her to fight for the title at some time in the future. But going back to my question is, who else would you give into JJ?
You didn't have to match JJ up on this card. You could have waited a little bit longer.
Okay, but you know what? I like what they've done. I'd like to see. Do you know what I mean? I just like that little bit of history that you've got both women's champions breaking a record. It's that full circle thing.
Yeah, but you're looking at it from a nice kind of point of view. I'm looking from a realistic one where I think...
I know, but sometimes it's nice to be nice and nice to
give
back to them.
Yeah, but I'm looking from a fight perspective. It's not ideal matchups.
But
what even stands out more is the fact that these two girls, that have, the two opponents, are the biggest margins on odds of winning. That shows you how bad these matchups are.
But who currently in the UFC that's fit to fight?
I said to you, you didn't have to have them on the card, Mike. I'm just saying.
I know, but I'm just saying.
If you say right now, I'd be like, well, if they didn't have anyone matched up, I would like to have seen Claudia Gadelha there, but she wasn't ready.
No,
she had an injury. So why did you have to match up? You could have done
because
it a bit later.
JJ still needs to clock a fight.
She doesn't have to clock a fight, Mike. She doesn't.
She does. They still need to fight. You still need to see title defences.
You could, yeah, but Mike, she just had one against. She had one. She could have waited till December maybe, or the New Year card. In fact, she should have fought on the New Year card under Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit one, and fought Claudia Gadelha then as co-main event.
But do you know what? It's when the history books will show that. I mean, let's be honest. It's not our fault that we don't have challenges that we can have an awful lot of faith in at the moment, because the champions are
so dominant. I know that, but I'm just
formidable.
Mike, listen, and Valerie's not even beat anyone in the top 10. So anyway, you got Joanna, who's just probably going to destroy Valerie. She'll probably just dismantle her by the probably second or third round. She'll just pick her apart.
So what would you do with Ronda Rousey then?
Okay, Ronda Rousey. Okay, again, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Ronda Rousey as the main event against Holly Holm, as everyone knows. Now, Holly Holm, again, she's not really beating anyone worthy of note. She got decision wins against Pennington and Renee,
and you know what?
The Renee fight was awful, because Renee was a way better striker than she showed that night. She just did not turn up. She was awful. The Pennington fight, she wasn't... Holly Holm Pennington, that was a scrap.
And you know what? Holly Holm struggled in that one. On the feet.
Yeah. Like, she could say it was jitters, but the thing is, Holly Holm's 9-0, and they're like, oh, here's her finishes. Yeah, against girls who aren't even in the UFC, who aren't ever going to be.
But the thing is jitters, a world, an 18-time boxing world champion. I know it's a different sport, but they've been in the highlight.
Yeah,
they've been in the highlight time and time and time and time and spotlight. Sorry, yeah, spotlight time and time again. You should be able to handle those jitters. Okay, they're going to come, but you should be able to handle them. You know what I mean? It's you've got to be able to deal with it. It's like soldiers when they go into war. Okay, you're going to have nerves. You've got to deal with it. If you can't deal with it, you shouldn't be there.
You've got Holly Holm who's 9-0, and the reason why they've stuck Holly in sooner rather than later is because she's 9-0, Mike. That's why she's fighting. Yeah, because she's got an O on her, and they can sell that.
Yeah, and it's a name, and they've got to try and make the general public believe that
can win.
She's going to,
because Holly Holm was going to lose that O before Ronda Rousey if she fought other people.
I tell you what, apologies to all women currently signed into the UFC Bantamweight division. Ronda Rousey does not have...
It's not good. You're not going to win. You're not going to win now. With Ronda Rousey being...
To be honest, should have been Miesha Tate anyway.
It should have been Miesha Tate, and that's what I would have had.
Yeah.
I would have had Miesha Tate.
Because, do you know what? I still believe that Ronda Rousey beats Miesha Tate. But do you know what?
She was promised
Miesha Tate
she's done all she can.
Has got the best chance out of all of them.
No, but it's not that. She's done what she needed to get that shot. And
she did what she was told to go and do to get the shot.
She was promised it. She said the winner of that fight gets the title. So that's why I said...
It kind of made me sick. Like, and
that's why I
think
Miesha...
do that.
Yeah,
they shouldn't say it.
It pissed me off. So I think I should be Miesha. That's what I would have said.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
Ronda Rousey, Holly Holm. Now, I'm not saying she can't win. I just really can't see it happening. Now, Ronda Rousey could get hit in the head with a head kick. There's nothing to stop that. Or Holly Holm could just teep her for
anyone
5
can
rounds.
beat someone. But
it's a highly unlikely predicament. That's all it is.
Because like people are sort of saying like, oh yeah, it's a boxer. How's she going to handle her striking? Let me let you into a little secret, guys. Holly Holm is not a striking knockout artist.
No.
She's got some good kicks.
Yeah. But she's not going to...
But you know what?
Yeah.
Good luck using kicks against Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, she's not going to do a dramatic...
She's going to catch that leg and she's going to take you for a ride.
So that's that card. And the main event, by the way, on the Pierre Shields was obviously Pierre Shields as the main event. So that smokes that fight. So we're going to go now to our next guest, which is Louis, our body weight management expert, we'll call him. Louis Giordano. Okay, he came on, like I say, he's taken on Aljamain Sterling as well onto his books. But he come on to talk about the weight management and just basically other little aspects of it. So here he is now. Well, Louis Giordano, thank you very much, firstly and foremost, for coming on to speak with us. Your insight into what we're going to talk about with you is, I think it's one of them things that it interests me because I'm a fan of human biology. But it's also a very strong and big talking point in the sport. I think that people don't really respect weight management and how to look after your body as they should. And obviously you are a how would you like to describe your role? How would you word it?
Weight management specialist is my title when referring to the whole weight cutting and making weight and that area. So weight management specialist.
I like that. I like the way you've put that. It's a nice one. Now, it is huge, the weight cutting factor in MMA, the fact that fighters do cut a lot of weight. Some guys get it wrong. There's guys that have went to hospital. And there's people that just aren't educated enough in that field of the sport. So what's your take on the way guys are looking after their body anyway?
I think it's one of those things that's dramatically overlooked, and a lot of fans and even fighters and coaches, I think it's overlooked because so much goes into the actual fight itself. But you have to remember that in order for the fight to happen, you have to make weight. And in order for the fight to be exciting, you also have to be healthy and be able to fight. And so many people just overlook it because they think, oh, you just step on the scale, you make weight, and all is done. You drink some protein shakes and some fruit, and you're good. But there's so much more that goes into it, but it's definitely overlooked.
Yeah, I've noticed that a couple of guys, that have missed weight. I think the best one for me recently, the one that stands out, is probably Kelvin Gastelum. He has a real issue with keeping that weight down to get to 170, even though he wants to be 170. That's all he wants to fight at. If he wants it that bad, well, I'm not being funny. How can you not keep getting down? How can you not get down to that weight class? That's what bewilders me. I'm thinking, just eat. You're telling me you can't eat a salad rather than a pizza.
He talks
he talks the game, but he's not putting it into effect. And things like that frustrate me because I think you can make the weight. It is possible to be to diet right and look after your body right. Or do you think that fighters who do struggle like that should just accept that they shouldn't be going down to that weight class?
I think it's a few things, and here's an interesting fact. I'm not sure about the UK, but I know here in the US, obesity and coronary heart disease. Coronary heart disease is the number one cause of death in America, which means that there are more than just a handful of fighters who get it wrong when it comes to just overall being healthy all year round. A lot of the fighters, they the off season. Very few are actually very dedicated to eating healthy and training all year round. So I think it's a bigger picture, whereas there is a lot of other people who struggle. I get that I understand that they're not fighting or they're not competing in quote unquote professional, but there are a lot of doctors who are out of shape. So it's one of those things that's just easily overlooked. You absolutely can make the weight, and it just takes the right person, the right education, and the right understanding. It'd be like trying to watch a movie in a different language. You have no idea what's being said, but if you had some subtitles, then you can make sense of it. So I think a lot of these guys are just following, those old wives' tales or old school wrestler mentalities, and that's getting them into trouble.
It is. I think one of the things for me I found, it's not just the person's fault. I think society's fault as well.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It is. It's the way the image is perceived on the way you eat certain foods. For example, the best one to use I think would be somewhere like Coca-Cola, where the amount I think it's 9.5 spoonfuls of sugar, tablespoons I think it is, of sugar in a can of cola. You know, it's a huge amount of sugar to have in your body, and it's too much than you should have. I think
You've only got to look at kids, haven't you?
Well, that's the thing. The image they put of Coca-Cola, especially around because come up to Christmas time, would be a good time to use it. Is that the red truck that drives around, and you know.
Absolutely. Even that, there's a misconception though. Check this out. If let's say you and I, you said you like to train as well, and the guys who do like to train, they've always been put into some really tough workouts. So we all know what it feels like to be exhausted. So let's say you and I go and roll for 3 hours straight. We didn't have anything to drink. We just rolled for 3 hours and busted our butt, and we're sweating. Here's reality. After we're done, if you have a choice to drink a glass of water, which we are about 65% water. Water is very, very healthy. We need water to survive, to live. If you had a choice to drink a glass of water or a glass of soda, at that point, when you are done rolling for 3 hours, you will do your body better by actually having the soda with the sugar, because you just flew through all of your glycogen sugar to get you through that workout, that you'd actually benefit from having a little bit of that sugar after you exercise. But if you're just sitting around on the couch watching TV, not working out, then obviously you'd want to stay away from that. But that's the problem, is society does this amazing thing, and they've done it, for thousands of years, where they just have a warped perception of reality, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I can actually relate to this firsthand. A few years back, I did a half marathon, and it was shortly after I started having some sugar issues. So this was my first half marathon, and for the whole race, I took a sugar-free drink with me, and I avoided all the jelly beans and jelly babies on the route round. And from about mile 8, my brain wasn't there. I don't know. I was on autopilot. Apparently, they were asking me if I was all right, and I was answering them, but I have no memory. I have memories of flashes of it. And they literally, I finished the race, and they put me in the ambulance and took me to hospital, and I was on about 1.5, I think, my blood sugars, which is not very good.
Next to nothing. I mean, they drop so low, and people, again, they get that confused, whereas, that you're told, we're told so much, don't drink this, don't eat this, it's bad for you. Here's one of the things I like to say that I've learned from the people who, I still talk to and help educate me as well, is there's no such thing as bad food. And I did a seminar a few weeks ago, and I started with that, and everybody looked at me like, wait a second. They're looking at the pamphlet like, are we at the right place? And I said, well, I asked somebody, I said, hey, give me an example of a bad food. So I ask you guys, give me an example of a bad food. What would be a bad food, in your opinion?
Kebab. Kebab meat.
Celery.
I don't know if
Celery. I can't stand it.
Yeah, salads. No, I don't know if you get kebabs in the US.
So not bad tasting. How about bad food that you think is bad for you?
You could say a McDonald's or something like that.
I'd say a KFC bucket. Like KFC.
All right, so perfect. Check this out. So KFC, deep fried chicken and macaroni and cheese. Those two things are terrible for you. So now we're on an island and we're starving. It takes about 3 weeks. You could go about 3 weeks without having any food. So we're right on the cusp of that third week, and we're about to die from starvation. All of a sudden, Colonel Sanders shows up with a bucket of his chicken and macaroni and cheese and says, here you go, guys, I have some KFC for you. You're not going to look at him and go, no, that's bad for me. That's going to save your life at that point. So there's no such thing as bad food. Yes, there are foods that are technically better for you, but there's no such thing as bad food, because that at that time will save your life. Again, back to the Coca-Cola. At that time, that Coca-Cola will be good for you, but sitting on a couch, drinking it, watching TV is not. So that's the perception that I try to relate to all my clients and everybody that I speak to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'd let you into a secret. If Colonel Sanders turns up, not only would I eat his chicken, I'd get him to fry you.
Exactly. Forget about the bigger issue that Colonel Sanders just happened to show up. Now we have a bucket of fried chicken and macaroni and cheese. So there's a few issues going on, but the point is that you're not going to say, no, magical man, I'm not going to have that. It's going to save your life,
Yeah, and
like
it's
those jelly beans, and when you went on your race, sugar would have definitely helped you throughout that entire thing.
Yeah, I think so. I tell you what, it was. I can actually remember coming round from it, and cracky, it was weird. I mean, I'm teetotal. I don't take any drugs. I don't drink or anything. And I tell you what, it was the weirdest environment I've ever been in my life. I think
it's very strange. You feel very strange. It happened to me a few times, and it's one time after wrestling practice, and then one time I went for a hike with my uncle, cousin, and a friend of ours, and the friend, was leading the way, and, he was a very, very proud, very high ego, and did not want to look at the map. Needless to say, we got lost for about 5.5 hours. We had very little water to no water at this point. It was so bad that by the time we got to the street, we realized we were still about 2 hours walking distance to our car. We had to call the park ranger to come and get us. And the reason I tell this story is because once the park ranger came and got us, once we got our car, the first thing we did was go to a convenience store. Now, I could walk into a convenience store and I could have gotten water, I could have gotten a piece of fruit, all these quote-unquote healthy foods. My body was so zapped of energy, sugar, everything that I went right over to the Slurpee machine, and I'm pouring, a Coca-Cola Slurpee, slushy, whatever, in my cup. And as I'm doing that, I'm realizing, wait, this is like ice. This is really cold. How am I going to get this? My body just needed the sugar, so I was mixing the soda and the ice, and I was just drinking it. I needed sugar at that point. Your body starts to shut down.
Well, I mean, I'm ex-military, and I can remember some of the Bergen runs that we used to do in the military, and you'd be doing, like, say, I don't know, 10, 12 miles sometimes, anything from 8 to sort of 12, maybe even further, I don't know. Sometimes I don't think even the instructors knew how far we were going, but it was a hell of a long time we were going out for. And I would say to people, yeah, you'd eat, say, 6 to 10 Mars bars, and they'd be like, well, that'd kill you, wouldn't it? And I said, no, because it's that... And literally, with every bite, you could feel like your
energy
levels
go up, yeah.
Yeah, and you'd get that...
Absolutely.
Forget eating sandwiches and salads at that point. It was literally...
I was training with the Royal Marines, and it was the case of I was eating easily 5,500 calories a day. And it was anything from sweets to porridge to anything good to anything naughty. And I lost weight. I lost about 1 stone in weight just because of the amount of energy I was burning. But the thing was, because you would eat anything that was to get your hands on, you'd eat it.
I mean, the way I describe it to people is you've got to have enough fuel for the trip.
Yeah.
You don't go on a drive.
There you go. Exactly. And speaking of that, think of it like this. And I love the fuel is something that I always say. One of my mottos is that food is fuel for the body, not comfort for the mind. People like to look at food as comfort food. I don't like that at all. No, it's fuel for the body. So if you take a fire, if you set a fire outside, there are so many things you could throw into that fire that will burn. Some things are going to burn faster. Some things are going to take longer to burn. Well, food is the same way. It's still going to burn. So it doesn't matter what you throw into that fire. It just matters as far as how effective is it. Is it going to be short or is it going to be long-lasting? But when you're flying through calories like that, at that point it almost doesn't matter. It's just about getting calories back in. That's what matters most, And people get hung up on it so much that it's really not about that.
Yeah, it is.
I also used to do some like crazy bike races and stuff like that, and now I've got to get this the right way around, and hopefully you'll correct me if I am wrong, but you'll know what I mean. Like, if your protein dips below a certain amount, it will nick it from your carbohydrate. Am I right? And so your energy level never seems to go up.
In a way, yes. So this is what happens. So our muscles are 70% water, and they're also loaded with glycogen as well, sugar. Carbohydrate is the number one fuel source for your body. Whether you're sitting, running, jumping, training, sleeping, doesn't matter. Your body is burning calories. Obviously, the more activity you're doing, the more calories you're burning. Majority of the calories you burn throughout the day, your body will use carbohydrates and sugar. Depending on your level of activity and depending on your fitness level, your body will actually switch from the carbohydrates to fat and actually start to use fat for fuel. Now, protein technically is labeled as a fuel source, but it goes right to the muscle. Now, if your fat cells or you're draining your body of the carbohydrates and you're not replenishing it, they'll actually start to take the glycogen, the sugar that's in the muscle, pull it from there, and then the muscle will actually start to break down. So you were right. It just kind of flipped it around a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I always seem to get it the wrong way round. But I remember doing a race once, and even though I was taking the energy, there was something else was nicking it. So I never seemed to get my energy back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because I
and
think
that's what a lot of these fighters do. Yeah, that's what they do. It's like if I have a bucket that I want to save money, I want to put money into this bucket, but the bucket has a hole in it. So I'm saving all this money, I'm putting it in the bucket. So I'm not spending it, I'm not getting the money, but then I go to look for the bucket, and the bucket has a hole in it. So what did I really just do? I saved my money, technically, but I don't even have it anymore. So that's what ends up happening with exercise a lot.
And we'll talk then now about recent comments that you made in relation to BJ Penn and Mr. Hendricks. About, obviously, you said about how you can get their weights down and stuff. With Johnny Hendricks, though, I feel that he is literally he's a downfall. He's the downfall himself. He does it himself.
Just Nicky's barbecue invites.
He literally will just. He's a prime example of binge eating. He's a prime example of. When he's not having a fight on, he will binge, and he binges. And what I like to look, we've spoke about him before, is he's like the Ricky Hatton of MMA. Ricky Hatton, obviously British boxer, he would balloon over his weight class, and he would eat everything, and then he had to cut
well over 12 stone, and he was fighting at 10.
He was cutting, and he would then have to cut back down again. And it was one of them ones where you think he could have had a better career, he could have prolonged his career. If he just looked after himself a bit more, and with Johnny Hendricks, I really feel he's doing himself no favors.
Well, yeah.
I agree with you. And here's the thing. For me, it always comes down to perception, right? Again, the internet. Everybody has access to the internet, so anybody could Google how to lose weight, healthy foods, and all these things. And what's crazy is we have access to basically an encyclopedia of wealth on the internet. Yet again. The number one cause of death in America is coronary heart disease. Everybody, most of the people are overweight, obese, and all that stuff. So with that being said, then for me, it has to come down to perception. I was actually talking to, one of the guys I worked with was Eddie Gordon. Eddie Gordon was a heavyweight,
Yeah.
And I was talking to his manager, Jason Rivera, and I've been working with Jason as well. And we were talking about this after the article came out, and Jason was saying to me, Lou, but he eats barbecue. Same thing you guys are saying. All that stuff is public knowledge. Anybody understands. I mean, you talk about Johnny Hendricks, he likes to eat certain foods and so on and so on. And I stopped him. I said, Jason, Eddie was the same way, right? And he goes, yeah. I said, okay, well, he's 190 pounds with abs for the past 6 months. I said, you were the same way too, weren't you? Now you're down 30 pounds, and you haven't even started really exercising yet. He goes, you're right. I said, that's because I got my hands on you. Because I changed your perception. I don't take credit for anything that I do. I'm just a voice. That's all. And what I say is that my goal is to change your perception of what it is that you're doing. Once you change the perception, then you can yield a completely different result. So I think for a guy like Johnny Hendricks and BJ Penn as well, I think that their perceptions of themselves and their perceptions of food has to change. Again, Eddie is a guy who fought at middleweight, and he would walk around at 230 pounds. One of his last fights, he was 220-something pounds. He cut 20 pounds in 24 hours to make weight. That's how he did things. When I worked with him, he didn't cut any weight. We ate the night before weigh-ins. We ate breakfast and had a shake the day of weigh-ins. And like I said, it's been a few months now after his fight. He's still 195 pounds because now we're making the transition down to welterweight, 170 pounds. So I understand that, but again, it's perception. So if they change their perception, then maybe they could actually change the result of what's happening as well.
So with Eddie then, are you going to get him down further walking weight? Because like I say, he's 195 now. Are you going to get his walking weight down a bit lower than that to be the 170?
Yeah, so for me, the way that I like to do things is again, I don't like to be the guy that gets called in 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out. I've done that a few times actually, and recently. And again, it's just not my style because I want to take my time with my guys. So I like the guys to walk around no more than 15 pounds above their weight class, maximum 15 pounds. So for Eddie, the walk around weight should be about 185. And what we do at that point is get his body accustomed to being there. And then, again, a big misconception is that strength has no effect on size. so I can actually make Eddie or whoever I'm working with feel stronger than they did while being lighter. Like one of the guys I'm working with now, Aljamain Sterling, he's got a fight coming up on December 10th. Same thing. He's a guy who fights at bantamweight, but was walking around at, up to about 160. And when we first talked, that was his concern, was his strength. But now he's feeling stronger, lighter. So there's ways of doing that. So I like about 15 pounds above their actual weight class. All year round, actually.
Yeah, well, we had Aljamain on. We spoke to him the other day as well, and he did mention about the weight and obviously shifting down the weight class. Not the weight class, his walking weight down. And yeah, you said about the 15 pounds. See, I recently ventured down to welterweight myself, but I didn't do it. I'll rephrase that. I got my walking weight down when I first made the decision to get down to welterweight, which is 170. I was walking around about 205, between 205 and 210, sorry. So I decided to get my walking weight down to a more manageable weight. So I did. I got my weight down to about 190, just around there. And what I ended up doing was 2 weeks before the fight, in the build up to the weight cut the day before, the weigh-ins, I lost about 10 pounds in about 12 days, and then the day before the weigh-ins, I'd cut the final 10 pounds of just literally doing, the water loading and then just cut a load of fluids out.
Right.
Now, I'll admit, it wrecked me. The last fight I had, I probably shouldn't have medically fought in my last fight. I had cramps, I've never had cramps like that before. My hands were cramping up when I tried to grab food. I was actually sick 3 times,
Absolutely.
but my whole body cramped up. My ribs were just in bits from the erection from being sick. My whole body just literally shut down on me. I probably would have been sent to hospital. But I wasn't saying no to the fight kind of thing. It's that stubborn attitude. But I've learned that I probably need to get my weight down lower. You see, as well, from instead of being 190 before I start doing the cut, I should probably get my weight down even to, like you say, 185 or even 180.
Absolutely, because again, here's what happens. Like you just said. I mean, I don't even have to reiterate what you said. It's perfect. There are so many quote unquote techniques to cutting this weight, water loading and saunas, bathtubs, all these things, all these crazy things. But if you can get your walk around weight to be comfortable at about 10 to 15 pounds more, and just focus on your strength, speed, and agility, because there are ways to do that. Okay, while also complementing the food that you're putting into your body, so that way when you get closer to the fight, all you're going to do is manage your weight a little bit lower so that you never really miss a meal or miss any water, and again, your strength can continue to go up. A lot of the guys think that, they have to walk around much bigger because, they're going to have the advantage. Well, at the end of the day, we both step on the scale at the same weight. It doesn't matter if I am that weight already and you cut 70 pounds, we both stepped on that scale the same weight. And in 24 hours, it is physically impossible to increase significant lean muscle mass or strength in 24 hours. So all that weight you put on, you just added mass and basic physics. More mass equals slower speed. There's a reason Floyd, Mayweather only gains a pound when he goes into a fight, and he barely gets hit. So whether you're a fan or not, you have to look at the actual facts. People don't like to look at facts.
We mentioned, we were speaking to a gentleman, Jose Torres, and Frankie Edgar is a great example of the weight.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
He was 155 champ, and he was hardly even... I think he just went to the toilet to cut weight. It's that...
Spat on the floor and stepped on the scales.
Yeah, absolutely. I wrestled with Frankie. We're from the same region. We graduated the same year. He wrestled at 130, 135, and I was a little bit heavier. So I know Frankie for quite some time, and even back then, he just never cut weight. He was just always in good shape. And like you said, there's something to be said about the guys that just walk around healthy all year round. Forget about the actual fight itself. Like I tell my clients, just my regular clients, I don't eat healthy and exercise now so that I can look good. Yeah, don't get me wrong, that's a piece of it. But I want to take care of myself now so that, God willing, I can run around with my grandchildren. Forget about kids, my grandchildren. So let's look at the longevity of yourself. If you take care of yourself now all year round, you're just going to be overall healthier as you get older. You know, it's like anything else. We don't see the damage that we're doing to ourselves now, but in 10 years, you know, you could bet that you're going to definitely feel the repercussions for it, you know? And that's why I say what I say and I do what I do, because the bottom line is the safety of the fighters, you know?
And that's the key, the safety of the fighters. That was my next kind of question to you, really, would be, you know, it is accessible. Information is accessible online. You can look at how to look after yourself, how to cut weight. But the thing is, there's not one way to do it. There's many ways to do it. And many fighters maybe they pick the wrong way. But it's a lesson. They sometimes have to learn a lesson. You know, they have to make a mistake and then they go a different direction. And I think the key for the sport is, you know, the weight cutting issue. You know, the safety of it, and how would you suggest it's managed, because not everyone has the accessibility that other fighters possibly do, or the contacts even.
Well, and that's a great question, and you know, it's a frustrating one in a sense, because you know, I've always been the type of person, I just want to help people. That's why I got into the industry, you know, and I got into the industry because I come from a heavy family, and at a young age, I looked at that and I wanted to help them. And then when I went to school, I realized, wow, there's a lot more people who suffer like this, and so forth and so on. So now diving into the whole weight management for the fighters and everything else like that, I genuinely empathize and feel bad for all these guys. I've been contacted, I'm not going to mention names, but I've been contacted by several different fighters, both in and outside the UFC, who are very quick to say, you know, I cannot afford A, B, and C, and I just give them information over the phone because I just want to help. I don't need them to promote my name, and I'm not out here promoting their name. I just want people to be healthy and safe, and you know, that's my goal in this sport, in this industry. I will continue to do what I do, and I will continue to be an open book about it. You know, I don't need to keep things a secret. Oh, well, you want to learn? Buy this, buy that. No, I'm just going to give you some good advice, and you know, that's the way I feel it should be, because we have a responsibility to take care of people, you know, and that's how I see it.
Yeah, it is a hard one to touch, really, because there isn't one set rule. Like you said, you give advice. That's the thing. You don't tell them you have to do this, you have to do that. It's more of a set. It's more like common sense, I suppose you could say you're giving them.
I think the word moderation gets forgotten too often.
Oh, it drastically gets forgotten, and it's one of those things that is very important, because quality of life also has to play a part here. You know, I'm not saying that you should eat, you know, don't eat foods that you enjoy, and I feel that's why my program is so successful, is because it's not about restricting and being on a quote-unquote diet. It's about being realistic in an unrealistic environment. And like you said, I don't ever tell anybody, do this, don't do that. No, my way is this. I'm going to say, okay, here's what I think, and I'm going to explain why I feel that way, and I'm going to support it with some facts. Then I'm going to give you some logic as to why I feel that way, and then I'm going to allow you to make the educated decision to say, oh, wow, you know what, that actually does make sense. So now what I want you to do is try it. Once you try it and your body feels better, well, then guess what? We just answered our own question. Did I really answer it for you? No, all I did was just show you the map. You actually started to look at it, dissect it, and figure it out on your own. You know, that's why I feel my program is very different than anybody else's, because every other program is telling you this is how it is. No, it's more of the mixed martial arts, no pun intended, but the mixed side of things versus, you know, jiu-jitsu beats taekwondo. No, it's the guy who's versed in everything is the most skilled. So,
well, but I was going to say,
meal planning and nutrition should be the same way.
Well, you know, it's like some of those times in the army. You know, on some of those endurance marches and that, a salad would have put me in hospital, whereas a Mars bar would save my life. You know,
100%. That's what's crazy, is people don't understand the and it comes down to perception. Oh, that's a candy bar. No, that's going to save your life right now. It's going to save your life. But you know, you have all these quote-unquote fitness experts who have this, you know, who have society's ear, because they're being paid to tell people what they want to hear, as opposed to just being honest about things. You know, it's sad, because honesty doesn't sell sometimes. You know, but guess what? When the house is built on lies, the truth is going to destroy it. You know, and that's what's going to happen.
One thing I thought I'd talk about then is there was the IV ban that's come into place. Do you think that I wouldn't say do you think it's good or bad, but do you think the IV ban in a way will then, I don't say force, but will make fighters then go, I do need to speak to someone like yourself and maybe say, right, because I want to stay in that weight class, but I am, I use an IV because I literally just dropped way too much in water the day before and I can't be arsed basically doing the weight management. Do you think this will force guys to, if they want to stay in that weight class, not have to go up one? Do you think it's a good way to maybe make them look at sports nutrition in a way?
Yes, 100%. And when that article first came out, the first one I read, I believe, was on Bloody Elbow. And there were a few, two of the other guys in the industry, I guess, who do what I do, were very vocal about their views. And then I decided to be vocal about mine. And what I said was this, that it's going to do two things. The first thing it's going to do is it's absolutely going to force guys to go up in weight. Because guys are going to be nervous that they can't use the IV to refuel, rehydrate. They're going to get scared, and they're going to go up in weight. The other thing it's going to do, and this is what I was very vocal about, is at some point it's going to force guys to seek out other areas of help, people such as myself, who is standing there saying there is a different way of doing this and a healthier way of doing this, and you can make the same weight class that you were in, but also be healthier without the use of IV. And what's going to happen is when you have guys that are making weight healthy, let's just say we lived in a perfect world where everybody was 100% fully hydrated. Forget weight classes. But everybody was 100% fully hydrated. And when you paired people up to fight, no matter who you picked, obviously, they're in all right, you need the weight class, so they're in the same weight class, but they're fully hydrated. Don't you think that you're going to get a better fight, a more entertaining fight, and for me, a safer fight? Because the risk of injury now goes down because the guys are fully hydrated both mentally and physically. So that's why I was so adamant about it, because that's what I feel it's going to force people to do, and that's why I've been so vocal about it. While you have the other guys being vocal that it's the bad thing and guys are going to die, like, all right, let's just scare more people into going up in weight classes than actually seeking other help and getting healthier.
Yeah,
but I was going to say exactly because a lot of the when I say injuries, I'm not talking about broken bones, etc. I'm talking about deaths, etc. They're linked. People are now linking them to the weight cutting.
Boxing is the best to use.
Exactly, like find me a heavyweight that died after a fight.
And they hit the hardest.
You know what I mean?
They're the biggest guys, so they hit the hardest.
Yeah, and
that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point.
Because in boxing, the low weight classes in boxing, that's where the statistics were the best ones are. I think the more deaths related to the guys in the low weight because they're cutting weight, but the heavyweights.
I think what really showed it was, do you remember the Brazilian that died a few years ago whilst cutting weight? He hadn't even got into the cage, and the poor chap died due to weight cutting, and literally that didn't take a strike.
Why isn't there more press on that to let people know? It's so frustrating because it really, like I said in the beginning, is it's one of those things that's overlooked. For whatever reason, making weight's like the smallest piece, but it's really, in my opinion, the biggest piece.
Yeah.
And you have a guy like that passes away because he's cutting weight. Well, why aren't we talking about that more to say to these? Because now you have these young kids. I actually this college wrestler reached out to me on Instagram. I've never met him before, never talked to him before, but I guess he heard one of my interviews. He reached out to me, and I called him. We were on the phone yesterday, and he's telling me here's a 19-year-old kid who read all these other books, and he's cutting weight and doing all these water loading things, and I'm just like shaking my head. Like, this is what's scary is that you have all these younger kids following the older kids, and nobody's talking about really how dangerous this is until now. I think it needs more coverage.
It does.
It's dangerous even without the fight.
I believe that with
100%.
especially with wrestling as well, that a lot of grapplers, people who do wrestling when they're in high school, their growth is very much impeded because of the severe weight cuts that they do, and also they don't do it in the right way. They cut by just drinking maybe milkshakes for the week and stuff. They're not getting the right nutrients in at the key time of their life, of their growth, and it's crazy to think that.
Crazy. It is. Listen, I graduated high school in 2000, and my senior year I came in weighing about 225 pounds, and I wrestled 171. and I didn't know anything about really health and fitness, too much at the time. I have an older brother, but, showed me a little bit, but nothing crazy. So because my junior year, my parents actually, got me a trainer, and he helped me a little bit. I was like, oh, when I was working with him, this was easy. And see, that's the problem. When guys make weight once or twice, as we get older, we all know that things don't get any easier as we get older. So I come into the season about 225 pounds, and my school, I'm sure all the schools do this. I hope that they do. But what they do is you have like a physical from the trainer at the school, and they check your body fat. And based off of that, they tell you how much weight you could actually cut. So I was like, oh no, I gotta lose 20 pounds before I even start the season, because if she checks me now, there's no way she's gonna let me cut all the way to 70. So for 2 weeks, the only thing I did, I had 3 6-ounce canned shakes. They were actually in a can. I couldn't even tell you what they were called because it was so long ago. I drank 3 of those. That's it. Barely any water for 2 weeks, and I wrestled and trained. One day I'm at home. I had a mat in my basement. I'm rolling with my brother. I get out of the shower. He looks at me. I'm in my room. He looks at me. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" And boom, I collapsed. They had to call 911. They called the ambulance. I got rushed to the hospital. I had no idea what was going on. It's because of what I was doing. And there was no real advice back then. And again, that's what's so frustrating is that they're still doing the same thing. That's what, is driving me nuts, is that they're still professionals, trained professionals are still doing the same thing that I was doing, in Freehold, New Jersey 15 years ago. It's crazy.
I was just about to ask yourself, how many more people need to die before...
Or go to hospital. Or even just collapse and go to hospital.
Before it changes, because it seems like we know, and we're not scientists.
No.
It's like...
We know it's very interesting.
I'm not. By the way, I'm not talking about yourself here. I'm talking about myself and John. We're not geniuses, but we know that there is a science to this.
Yeah,
there is ways of finding out more. But it seems a lot of people leave that on the shelf, and
a lot of people, I think, expect it just to fall on their lap as well, which is what's frustrating. I think that comes down to society and the way people get brought up these days. They expect everything just to fall on their lap, and you think, do you know what? It's not that hard to find, though. It really isn't.
But what I believe is...
No, like I said, you have Google. You could Google search anything. The problem is nobody puts it into play. Nobody, does it. And I found this out, that when you think about exercise, and I relate this even to the professional athletes, because I've worked with, people who play professional football and college athletes as well. And what I found is this, that it comes down to 3 words. This is what separates everybody. You have a want, have, and need. Those 3 words are very, very strong desires. Want, have, and need. So if I were to ask you, either one of you or both, when you think about fitness, when you think about training, when you think about overall health for yourself, do you do it because you want to do it, have to do it, or need to do it? Now, you only can pick one, so which one would you pick? Both of you. Which one would you pick?
Oh, right, let me have want, have, or need. Okay.
Yes. When you look at health and fitness and competing, do you want to be healthy and fit because you want to, have to, need to?
I have to.
You have to, okay.
I'll pick have to.
I'll pick want to.
But you can't.
You want to.
Mike's
here's
not able to. Mike's not able to train. He's got limitations.
I buggered myself up in the army, and in fact, I'm actually on the brink of losing my legs at the moment. But I'm hoping that once they go, I can do things again.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you why you will, because of what you said. Check this out. It's a fun little thing I like to do with my clients. Want, have, need. You said want, and then have to, right? So have and want. So here's what's crazy. When you break the 3 down, I want to do something, I have to do something, I need to do something. I'm going to use a few sentences. I have to do my homework, but I want to play this video game. So what do you think I'm going to end up doing?
Play the video game because you want to. It's selfishness.
Exactly. I have to pay this bill, but I want to buy those sneakers. Oh, I have to go to work. I need to go to my in-laws. I want to go to work. I want to go to my in-laws. The desire to want trumps the other 2. People hurdle what they need to get what they want. So what you have to do is when you create a want, and this is why I said you will absolutely do it, because you said, you know what, I want to do it. And then once that is taken care of, and you'll be able to do stuff again, nothing will stop you because you want to do it. You know, I'd asked a client of mine who has a child, I said, let me ask you a question. You take care of your kid, right? He goes, absolutely. I said, well, do you do it because you have to, need to, or want to? He goes, well, I have to. I said, no, you don't. Let's be honest. You don't have to take care of him. He goes, you're right. I want to do it. That's right. And nothing will stand in your way. You want to know why? Because you want to do it.
Yeah.
So I think deep down inside, not that I think, I know deep down inside, these guys who are struggling to make weight or struggling, they don't want to do it. Once you create a want, like Eddie has created such a want that he will never go above 200 pounds again because he wants to do it now. That's the difference, and that's what separates.
Yeah, it's like the races and that I used to do. I had to get to the point where, I mean, I got my injuries when I was 20 stroke 21. I savagely broke my legs, both of my legs, and carried on breaking them there for years and years after. And I mean, we're talking hundreds of breaks, you know, and.
Wow.
We call him Mr. Glass.
Yeah, it's I've got a few issues, shall we say? But I like to do these like endurance things, you know, to sort of say to myself, I can still do these things even though I'm disabled. And it got to the point where the doctors turned around and said, "Don't do anything else. Stop. Don't, you know." I tell everyone that comes in here to do stuff. You stop. You know.
You have to stop.
And now it's a case of I now know I can't do anything else. So now I've said to me, you know, okay, if the legs came off, maybe I can then start doing things. So I've already priced things up. Like, okay, how much will it cost to get running blades? You know, and I'm researching about can you cycle with
flipper? Get flippers. I told you get a flipper. I want him to be a mermaid.
Yeah, I mean,
You sound like a great friend. I love it.
Yeah.
I've got to mock him.
He's as much help as putting snow on a fire.
You're not a friend unless you do that. You know, you have to. Absolutely. Me and my friends, we abuse each other. You have to.
Oh yeah. But like when they get chopped off, I'm going to put little shoes on the bottom of his feet as well. I'm going to have to do it and get a picture and all sorts. I mean, he's going to be great for Christmas as well. Santa's little helper.
Yeah. I tell you what, all he'll do is make me shorter, which will make it easier for me to hit him in the bollocks. That's all I know.
He can headbutt me. No, but the thing, like we said about
the desire and the want is already there.
Exactly.
All I need to do is wait for him to go now. And okay, yeah, I know there's going to be some issues and what have you, and a bit of rehab time, but yeah, you know, I know the desire's there, and I've already been like, you know, like thinking to myself, like, how long will it take before I can get on that start line again and, you know,
get going again? And
so,
yeah,
you know, I know I can
because
do it.
of that mindset, and more people, I wish more people had that mindset. It's because people try to look at, you know, I want to, you know, do something with my body. I want to change my body. No. Train your mind first. Sharpen your mind, and your mind will actually learn how to cut your muscle up in a good way. You know, you have such a strong mind that whether you have both legs, no legs, or 30 legs, I guarantee, and I've never met you, but just by listening to you, I guarantee you that you will not stop moving forward because of that mindset that you have. You know, and people need, unfortunately, I think we need more of that. You know, I was misdiagnosed by doctors for many years and spoon-fed medicine for many years by these so-called professionals, Ivy League doctors, degrees from all over the place, medicine. And it was the most frustrating process, but the one thing I never did was allow my mind to get, you know, infected like my body was at the time. And that's why I'm where I am now, because the mind is what's more important, you know, and just keep that mindset. And like I said, man, whether you have no legs or 10, nothing's going to stop you, I'll tell you that much. And I got nothing but respect for you.
That great point you made about the want, having, need, you know, even just you saying that then kind of made me think about, you know, we do this podcast and we've got you on now, and it's great because we need, for example, we need someone like you speaking and explaining this, because we want, for example, we want people to listen. You know, we need people to listen to this and take it on board, and that's why, for example, me and Mike, we want to do the podcast that we do because we want people to hear it. And we get, for example, you talked about the mind. We had a gentleman on the other week called Rob Dawson, who's a mind sport he's a mind strength. That's what he calls himself, mind strength. Not a sports psychologist. He's a strength conditioning for the mind. That's what he does, and we got him on because he needs to be on. We need people in the sport, not just MMA. He does all sports. We need him on to help to realise.
It's not all running and weights.
Yeah, but it's not all running and weights, but it's also not a stigma. There shouldn't be a stigma behind it. There shouldn't be a stigma behind asking someone to help you out with nutrition. There shouldn't be a stigma behind asking someone to help you with your strength of your mind to help you in the fight. And that's why we do what we do from our end, because we want to help people. And even if it's we had a cutman on as well who talks about hand wrapping and stuff like that, and it's all little things like that we think.
All the pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what it is. We need all the pieces, and that's what I think.
Well, and people can use this in life in general. Like you know, it doesn't have to be a fighter. You know, it's good to have more self-confidence. It's good to step outside your comfort zone every now and again because it does make you tougher. You know, it's good to get your diet right, and you know, it's definitely good to get your diet right.
It does help.
And do you know what? It doesn't have to be all crap. You know, it doesn't have to be all
celery.
shit tasting.
Your celery.
Yeah. For instance, celery. I can't stand celery.
But no.
Not at all. Yep.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. And that's what's frustrating is because most of the ones who have the voice, the ones that we are listening to, are the ones that are infecting us, actually. You know, and you need all the pieces, and people should listen more and should read more, but have an open mind. Like you said, you got to step outside your comfort zone and don't be so narrow-minded, so close-minded. You know, evolution is, change is the only constant, and people need to adapt to it.
Yeah. Like I say, go and sleep in the woods once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. See how many people would actually be able to deal with that.
Yeah, we
I was out,
we know a few.
I was out on the weekend, and I was saying to John before. I said it was the windiest conditions I've ever been in. You know.
Yeah.
I said, but it was still fun.
It's still fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, it goes right back to perception. You know, people look at that and they're like, "Oh, you're crazy. Go in the woods." And I'm like, "There's nothing better than nature. We can learn so much from nature."
Yeah.
But it's people's perception of everything.
Yeah, the outdoors is a great thing.
It's good to be uncomfortable now and again. I think
it's not even uncomfortable. It's a great place to get a perspective on things.
I love it. I feel more alive. And do you know what? I don't think about my bad legs when I'm out camping.
Unless I point and mention them and take them out.
Until my feet get cold.
Yeah. That's what you need. You need a combination of both. You need those moments in the woods where you're not thinking about everything bad or anything bad, and then you need that friend to remind you, "Hey, buddy, you still have some issues."
I'm happy to do that.
No, I don't take him.
I was going to say, it's probably a better idea to just leave him at home, but
Oh, it's all right. I'll just call them up and it's all right. I just send them messages, abuse. I honestly, I do it all the time.
The worst one I got was, what was it, where you phoned me up and told me some fight results.
Yeah.
You said something about, you're watching the fights, and I said, no, I've got no internet here, and you went, oh, so-and-so just got knocked out.
I've got to help him out in some way.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, thanks for that. I wasn't going to watch that when I got home, Hey-ho.
Gotta have a little love. But look, we've kept you on a long time, which has been amazing. I have to say,
very enjoyable and educational.
I have to say, it's been a pleasure talking. But we are going to let you get going because we don't want to keep you tied down all day as much as we'd love to. But before you go, I think it's vital that you spoke here now. But how can people maybe access to talk to you privately? Maybe look to get, like you say, some advice and just help, and just in general, just kind of get some life lessons on looking after their physical well-being.
Absolutely. First, I want to thank you guys. I mean, you guys are awesome, man. I love being on here and just talking with you guys. You guys are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You can find me on social media. My Instagram is at Loutrition, LOUTRITION. My Twitter is at Lou_Trition. Facebook, Loutrition. And I do also own a supplement company. That is Nutrition, NUtrition.com. And what I do with all that stuff is I want to put up as much free advice, answer any questions. My Instagram is loaded with facts and logic, and I just try to put stuff up there that people can learn from. And you could also, email me direct at loutrition@gmail.com. Those are the best places to find me at.
We'll put all this information up, ladies and gentlemen, on our Facebook page, as we usually do for everyone. And once again, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for coming on and talking to us. really was great. Honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Really.
Oh, definitely.
Thank you. And as always, guys, anytime I do an interview or anything like that, please, if you want to, reach out to me, I'll definitely be more than happy to take a look at your meal plans, especially if you're fighting, whatever the case may be, man. I want to offer my services to you guys, and if I can help out in any way, shape, or form, contact me off the air, and I'd be more than happy to help you guys. And please check out my man Aljamain Sterling, December 10th. You're about to see a whole different animal in that cage, man.
I'll be there in person. I'm flying out for it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure my schedule works, but I also, I'm trying to get out there as well. So if I am, we'll definitely link up. But if you guys aren't out there, man, tune in, because you're gonna see something amazing. He really is such a gifted athlete, man, and he deserves all the credit in the world.
That's why we got him on the podcast, because we believe that he is.
Oh yeah.
One of
we have
the
faith in him.
top bantamweights in the world, and there should be a lot more emphasis on him. That's why we got him on.
It's crazy that there's not, but you want to know something? I'm telling you right now, and I give him all the credit in the world. He's just a machine. I think he's a guy who, we all need coaches and we all need help, but you know what? That man, he's self-made, he's self-built. I don't think it mattered if he had coaches, me or not. He's just a machine, and with us, it's just going to make it even better. So he's going to make a lot of noise, man. I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, we can't wait.
We can't wait either. Can't wait for the 10th, and I'm sure you're going to have a great time watching him fight as well, and bringing back the W.
Absolutely, definitely.
Okay, if you didn't learn anything from that, please get a carrier bag, a shopping bag, a plastic bag, put it over your head, tighten it up a bit, and just wait.
And count to 100.
And count to 100, yeah, out loud, and wait till you see the white dots, and then that'll be helpful for the rest of the world.
Right, now, folks, what would if you're fighters, remember that obviously with the removal of the IVs, you need to address your weight code.
Yeah.
Now, just listen in, get on with it. Message the guy. Message someone. Stop winging it.
So now we'll go to a roundup. We need to talk about a couple of vitties, have a little chat about them. We're going to talk about the retirements that were announced. We had Alan Belcher, who retired. Obviously, kudos to him, retirement. He's got other business ventures on as well. That's pretty much, he said, I don't need to get punched in the face anymore.
Also, I love the way he does his breakdowns of fights.
Yeah, he's awesome at that stuff.
He's fantastic.
The technical breakdowns. Beautiful watching some of the stuff he does.
It's fucking fantastic. And hopefully he still does that. Which I'm sure he probably will.
I think he will do as well. I think he's involved. He's a coach. He does all sorts of things. So
I can't see him stepping too far away from MMA.
No, he's involved with the coach.
But, we wish him all the best in his retirement.
And thank you for the fights as well, I think.
Yeah.
We got next up is Crow Cop. So Crow Cop announced his retirement, and when it first came out, because he got an injury in his shoulder, and I was a bit like, it's a shit way to go. But at his age, it's another injury. It's another potential surgery.
You're going out on a win.
But it's another surgery. You think, fair enough. Do you know what? You don't need to go anymore.
No,
your body, you got to listen to your body.
And do you know what? He's given us highlights, which you can all see on Fight Pass on
see on YouTube.
With his Pride fights.
See on YouTube. Yeah. There's a highlight reels on YouTube.
To be honest, you should have all seen them before.
So,
anyway.
but then it came out. I put it on the Facebook page about a statement released by the UFC saying that there was drug testing. There's something going on. The drug testing he failed. Nothing was elaborated on at the time. He even then Crow Cop pretty much came out soon after and said, "Look, I openly admit I was using growth hormone, which you're not allowed to use." And there you go. So he's using growth hormone.
So we can guess that obviously wear and tear.
Yeah.
The cost of what he's had to go through in his years of fighting to put that entertainment out obviously came at a price, and
to keep doing it, he
had to look elsewhere to do it. And do you know what? It's
a shame.
I don't like drug cheating. I don't agree with it. I can kind of understand why he did it, because if there's a sport that he loves too much that he can't walk away from.
Vitor did it as well to help himself.
Vitor's always been on it though.
But we don't know if Crow Cop has.
No, it's kind of sad. Kind of tarnishes the retirement.
Crow Cop has always been on it.
Probably has.
Because if you think about it, he went from smoking nearly everyone he fought in Pride to then coming to the UFC and couldn't. He looked a shadow of himself.
Yeah,
and that's not because of the gloves or the cage. It's
let's be honest. We all know that Pride basically encouraged you to take things.
Yeah. So you know what? What I'm
going to do is I'm going to turn around and I'm going to say thanks Crow Cop for all the
Thanks for the
highlight reel
fights.
finishes.
Yeah, thanks for the highlight
You
reel
know,
finishes. Yeah.
okay, you test positive.
At least he, do you know
He
what?
is retired, and do you know what? He stepped
He
up.
said it. He said it.
Stepped
That's
up
the
and said
key. And I'm like, do you know what? Kudos, you said it. I don't. Do you know what? I don't. Unlike Vitor, where Vitor was in denial,
And still is.
Yeah, still is. But Crow Cop was like, yeah, I was doing that. Brase, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Did it.
Okay,
Love
yeah,
it.
doesn't make it right,
No.
but at the same time,
And we're going to go now to tests
Fun
again.
facts.
Donald Cerrone missed his test. He had a random test, a spot check done.
It comes up as a fail.
Yeah, it comes up as a
But
fail.
it comes up as a fail because he wasn't there. He was out probably, I don't know, slaying dinosaurs somewhere or something.
He was in Vegas. He went. He did a spontaneous trip to Vegas on a weekend, and basically they came knocking on his door at home and then called him up on his phone and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Cerrone, where are you?" And he said, "I'm in Vegas. I don't know what the hell he was doing. Probably jumping out of a plane." And he said,
Well,
and
hunting ducks.
and they
Yeah.
said, "Oh, well, we're outside your door." And he said, "Oof, that's shit."
Yeah,
You know,
'cause I'm in
basically-
Vegas.
So.
He has to
But
home for a
this is
reason.
all down to you have to let them know where you are all the time. And his pretty much, it wasn't his argument, but his point was, why can I not just go on a trip to Vegas on a whim? Why should I not be able to do that? Why should I be able to live?
You're not under house arrest.
Yeah, exactly. So his point was perfect. And do you know what? I'm glad he did it. I hope it happens to other fighters as well. Other fighters might go, yeah, but I went to see my grandpa in a different state because
Yeah,
I wanted to go
because-
and see him because he's
because he gives me inspiration before I fight and all
yeah,
that, you know,
you know,
or
whatever it is, just
whatever.
random things. It could be
Whatever.
It could be anything. But
You know,
I hope we see that.
or I fancy going to Vegas for a weekend.
Yeah.
You know,
I hope it happens because I think it's a bit annoying that they say you have to let us know where you are all the time because you know what? Some people are spontaneous and some people want to be and they let them be and let them live.
but the thing is can a spot check not give you 24 hours notice? I mean, does it hurt? Does something take 24 hours to come out of your system?
I don't know. Yeah,
I-
cocaine.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
cocaine takes 24 hours. Can't it?
Or 12 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, I don't know. You know,
But then that happened. It's a bit of comedy, but it happened. We're going to quickly touch on Bellator. They recently announced their upcoming card for next year.
They invented the time machine. That's what they
Yeah,
did.
they went into DeLorean and they grabbed and having Hoist Gracie versus Ken Shamrock, which I still can't get my head around.
Yeah, we didn't say junior.
No,
We-
no. And then we've a combined age of
172.
100 or something like nearly. I think it's a combined age of 100 or something. I think it's 49 and 51 or something. And then you've got the co-main event, which is Kimbo Slice versus this guy called Dada 500 or 5,000
Yeah,
or something.
they turned around. I watched. I was saying to John, like I said, I watched the video and they said, right, this is who Kimbo's fighting, you know, and they were sort of saying this to say, look at this scary dude, and he was fighting someone that the skills. It was like literally
Let's
like
put the point across. He isn't a mixed martial artist. He's a street fighter. He's a bare knuckle fighter. Let's put that point across, Mike, because he
yeah.
doesn't know that
I mean,
yet.
this wasn't a mixed martial arts fight, but the guy he was fighting just looked like he was just winging it. There was a bit of turning around and walking away or running away and stuff.
Dada is some idiot who does the bare knuckle stuff, and same where Kimbo came from, and they have a bit of a beef. And you know what?
Do you know what that fight
that-
can happen, but it doesn't happen in a Bellator.
That Bellator card itself, I don't care what fights they put underneath it. I have about as much interest in that as I do about watching two fat girls fighting over a slice of cake. It does not appeal to me.
I tell you what, it's. I love a lot of what Bellator's doing. You know how they've changed, and Scott Cochran. Thank you very much for how you've turned it
But I
around.
can't-
Because we used to slate Bellator left, right, and centre.
When Bjorn was
And-
under the Bjorn
well, it
regime,
was
but
Bjorn that we slated.
I can't get my head around this.
But Scott Cochran's done an awful lot of good things. But then every now and again he comes out with a little bit of WWF sort of.
I'd love to
thing.
speak to him. I'd love to get
No,
him on
say
and
like
try and.
Scott, you know.
I would be brutally honest and straight about that because I'd say, please
Well,
do.
we were also talking earlier, and I said like, okay, the only thing I can take out of the Hoist Gracie Ken Shamrock fight is yes, they are from the same era. You know what I mean? You're not
It's not
matching.
like a
You're
20-year-old
not giving
kid,
Ken
yeah.
Shamrock a
Yeah.
21-year-old. Same with Hoist Gracie. You know,
Yeah.
you're not giving him a title fight against Matt Hughes, etc. So. Yeah, I'd sooner see a grappling match on a.
Yeah, exactly. Just a grappling match we'll do.
Somewhere.
We're going to touch. We're going to say Angela Hill recently announced she got cut as well from the UFC. She had a rough time. In fact, that she came in and her first 2 fights were against 2 tough opponents. Considering Angela Hill hasn't got that much experience, she's one of them ones you should have grown. But Tisha Torres and Rose and Pat Barry's missus. I'm not going to say her surname. Fuck it. Not even Pat says it. Rose
stepping against Paige Van.
So she basically had 2 tough fights. I think Angela Hill would have been a better fighter to build up. Sadly, that didn't happen. She's off now. Do you know what? She'll probably sign to Invicta, hopefully, and she'll get those fights to build up.
Get a bit of experience
because she's not that bad. She's not that bad.
I know, and she's not very old, so she can go there. Hopefully, grow as a fighter and maybe even come back.
I look forward to watching it. And last bit we're going to touch on is Ramsey Nijem expressed why he didn't get to renew his contract with the UFC. Not because he didn't get to renew it. Sorry, why he was deemed as cut, but he wasn't cut. His contract ran out, and the reason why his contract ran out is because he disagreed with what they were offering. They were offering a small sum compared to what he wanted, because he basically, like he said, like other fights, the Reebok deal as well played an effect in this. They're not making enough money. He needs money to live. He needs money to pay his coaches. He needs to survive. And do you know what? I take my hat off to him for standing up and standing his ground and say, I want to be paid a wage where I can live. I'm not having this where I'm going to scrape. Kudos to him. Take my hat off to him, and thank you very much for doing that, sir.
Yeah, and okay, his record might be a little bit up and down of
late. It was 50-50 in the UFC, but who
cares? But you know what? It's everyone deserves to get paid a bit more.
Yeah, exactly.
The wage is not good.
It's not good enough. And I think he clearly wasn't getting paid enough, so I think, you know what? It's another example.
Because you can only do 3 to 4 times a year.
Yeah.
So your earning opportunity is not great, and they're taking away a large portion of their sponsorship.
They are, and we're going to stop there now and wrap things up. We're going to thank us. I know it's an extremely long podcast. If you made it to the end, I will salute you and give you a hug. But we want to give thanks to Horacio, William. We want to give thanks to Marques, Ace, Aljamain, and Louis for coming on. It was great to have them all on. We hope you all enjoyed the interviews that we had. Maybe some of the stuff we talked about. We'll be back next week where we have we have a lot more guests in the next few weeks. Various roles and positions that they all are from, and we look forward to putting them out there for you all to listen to. And we hope you all enjoyed this week. We certainly did. We had a great time, and we just want to get you, before you go, jump on your social networking sites and give these people a follow. We have
MMA Scotland.
We have on Facebook UFC Wreckage. Also, their website and Twitter is MMA Wreckage.
We also have MMA UK, and their Twitter handle is We Are MMA UK.
On Facebook, we have Fighting and MMA.
And on Facebook and Twitter, we have The Real MMA Talk.
And then last but not least, on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, they're funny. They talk about MMA. It's funny MMA. Jump on. They'll give you a giggle. And let's finish off with thank you very much, everyone. We will be back very soon, won't we, Mike?
Yep, definitely. Thank you very much, and goodbye.